Yes, 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 yes. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the stream. How's everyone doing? What's happening? What's happening? How's everyone week has been? Yeah, so sorry I flopped again last week, but I just couldn't make it. I just couldn't make it. Getting busier and busier, so just couldn't make it. So sorry about that. But here we are. We're back again. Um, Hoping that today we can have a meaningful conversation. Actually, just wanted to hey, what's up, Sammy? How's it going, bro? So I'm hoping that today we'll have a meaningful conversation that you know is surrounding scholars. Um, okay, so just to kind of give you guys a background of why I even came up with this, I can't even I came up with it. So is the funniest thing because I'm engaged in so many conversations with excuse me, some staunch hardcore Somali Muslims right on Clubhouse. And the funniest thing I've noticed is that you'll have an ex-Muslim Somali say something from the Quran or the Hadith, and Somali Muslims will call them liars. They will call them, fake news. They will call them haters of Islam. They'll call them Islamophobic. They'll call them all of these things, right? Now, those same exact verses are then told to them by their own scholars, right? Like by scholars of the deen, if you will, and it's perfectly acceptable. People just kind of take it on in the chin, and it takes a scholar to tell a woman that she has half a brain, and she's gonna take it. She's just gonna take it, and I just couldn't understand why. Why is it that the same information, right, given by two different people, why is it received in two different ways? I just couldn't get my head wrapped around it. Um, and also, I was kind of watching some old, what do you call it? Old videos. I'm a big fan of Speaker's Corner. I don't know if you guys know about Speaker's Corner, but it's um, it's a spot. I think it's in what do you call it? It's in London, England, the UK, and that place. I think it's called Hyde Park. That place basically is like a bastion of freedom of speech, right? You go there, you get on a soapbox, and you start saying, you start talking your shit, essentially. And I remember this episode where it was a conversation about scholars, and I really, really, really yeah, found that interesting, right? Because the person questioning it was this guy named Jedi. He's not Muslim, but he was questioning the Muslims. How this, how are we? How are you guys just listening to some people, right? And I really thought about that while I was on Clubhouse and listening to my Somali people waffle between things they don't know and some people that think they know things, telling them things, right? Hey, hello, cows. How? Let me What's going on? What's going on? Just gonna say, hey, everyone, how's it going? I just, you know. So essentially, I wanted to first, or to let me share this video that I'm talking about Speaker's Corner because I think it'll show you guys what I mean. Let's just have a little listen and see, if you guys understand where I'm coming from and where this comes from. So let me see here. Where is it? Yeah. So let's just watch a bit of this, and then we'll go from there.
Scholars. Islam is for everyone.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, so you can follow it on your own way. You understand? You don't need to follow the scholars. That's it.
Do you agree with that? That you don't need to
You
follow
understand?
scholars?
You don't need.
You need scholars.
In something that you can't understand for yourself.
Exactly.
So, but
I'm telling
what
him.
places that scholar
I'm
above
telling
you
him.
in your ability to
You
understand?
see, you don't need
that-
scholars to answer his
She
question.
allows me to answer.
Go on.
I know. You can
Go on,
answer,
brother.
but
He said
I'm
that
listening to you.
earlier.
you put it down.
You validate their opinion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But, well, you've just said that they're valid opinions.
I
Yeah.
said no. Me and you.
Yeah.
Me and you
we're not educated enough.
Yeah,
to make
wait,
to interpret it.
go on.
Yeah, me and you.
But they that
But
spend,
the people
yeah,
who have studied all their lives,
Go on.
dedicated their lives,
Go on.
studying all
Now,
the scriptures.
here's the point now.
So now, imagine they don't
They
have
spend all their
5%
life-
of the knowledge.
they spend all
they
their
got
life-
100% of the knowledge
bruv.
to verify.
All right,
no,
all right.
no,
The
that's
only
not
way,
right.
the only way you're gonna get 100% of the knowledge.
it's not one
Wait,
person,
the
is
only
it?
way you are going to get the 100% of the knowledge from the Quran is if
I'm
you.
talking about studying and learning
let him
the
finish.
available
Let-
knowledge.
Brothers,
that's there.
listen,
I mean,
listen,
all the-
listen.
all
Let's
the
just do with
books,
common sense here, yeah. You can read the encyclopedia back to front, back to front, back to front. That is great. Unless you are the person that wrote down the words in there, you cannot have 100%.
No, we are trying to understand the meaning.
You
of
cannot
it.
have 100% grasp of what is in
No,
the
we are
book.
not-
So even if
We are
someone,
not looking for 100%, by the way.
Yeah, but what
Wait,
was
wait,
it?
wait. Compared to me and you,
Yeah.
does that person have 100% of the information available in
no,
No,
they don't.
Let me show you something.
Any of your scholars, any of your scholars, any of your scholars.
The
I'm gonna done here. I'm gonna done
scholars,
here.
the scholars,
Any,
they're trying to understand the meaning, understand the meaning
brother,
of
listen,
the word of
listen to what I'm
God.
saying.
That's the only.
Listen to what I'm saying, yeah? Any scholars, yeah, that you stand upon to say they verified this book are just human beings.
Exactly.
Yeah? And they did
They
not.
can make mistakes.
Are you confirming to me that they did not one speak to Prophet Muhammad? Any of the scholars? Yeah?
Which scholars?
Any
you are
of the
talking
scholars?
about?
Any of the scholars? Did they speak to Prophet Muhammad?
No,
Yes or no?
Which scholars?
The
you are
ones that
talking-
you
no,
stand
no,
on.
no.
Wait.
Because
Wait, let me listen. Let me answer. The one you stand upon, the ones you stand upon to
Yeah.
validate the Quran
definitely
today.
some lived with him.
The
lived
ones
with
back then.
Yeah.
But we can't verify their existence.
We can
How's that?
through the knowledge tradition we have. Through the
Stories.
tradition.
It's more
You go to-
stories.
You go to
It's
Saudi
more
Arabia.
stories,
They will
validated
show
stories.
you. No.
That's real.
No,
Whether they could be true.
Brother,
The
we
stories.
have places where people are
Let
buried
me show you.
today in
Let me show you
Mecca,
how. Let me
Medina.
show you how. Let me show you how powerful
Yeah,
interpretation.
but I don't think
No,
it
no,
was
no, no,
possible.
Yeah, but
No, no,
why
no,
can
no,
you
no,
say
no,
it
no,
is-
no.
I don't
No. Let me show you how powerful this interpretation thing is, yeah? Because there's many Muslims.
You take it to somebody who knows the answer.
Or you can bring that.
got the stronger knowledge.
I will take
I
it. Ask somebody who knows.
People who lived with
Brother,
the Prophet.
let me explain one-
Wait. Islam is passed from the people who lived in the time of the Prophet.
Bro, why can't you not stand on your opinion? If you can't stand on your opinion, why are you here chatting in front of camera? I don't get it. You're telling me don't ask
You're
people
asking very
to
detailed
say
stuff.
what you want.
Very
So what?
detailed. Ask the scholar. Ask the sheikh. Ask the imam.
Ask
Go
what
with
you
it.
want.
No, there's no sense. There's
We
no
will take
imam.
it to
You
the
are trying
mosque.
to have
I don't listen. I don't have a book of questions for scholars. Me and my brothers are having a conversation. You're telling me don't chat to these lot.
But they're
Go
laymen.
and chat to. Well,
They
where?
don't know. They might not know.
Well, maybe they don't know, but they're human
You
beings.
never accepted
You know
those
what?
scholars
You know what?
you bring.
You know what? Islam
You
is.
ask
Let
them.
me say, Islam is it made up of 100% scholars or
No,
some?
for everyone.
Brother, man, wait, man.
For
Or
everyone.
some scholars and then 99% normal people.
100% for
Laymen.
everyone.
But
So who is Islam?
Can I
Is it
answer?
who is Islam? Is it scholars or is it
Islam
laymen?
not a person.
No, it doesn't wait.
Who is Islam?
Islam is not a person
No,
or people.
but
It's a
who
way
ma-
of life.
Yes,
Islam is
but
religion.
who
No,
makes up
Islam
Chinese
is
people?
made for everyone.
Humans.
China's
Yeah.
You want the answer? You want the answer?
Listen,
China's a country.
You want
yeah,
the answer?
country. You got,
Islam
but
is
listen,
not
but
people
listen.
or
The
somebody who
country is
knows.
made up.
Ask somebody who knows.
The country is made up of what?
But that's not the question. I
The
asked.
country
I
is.
never asked
Is the
you to make that
country?
up.
What is the country? This is what I'm asking.
country
What is
is made
Islam
up-
made out of?
You never
Is
said
it made
what
out of?
Islam? Who is Islam?
What is Islam made out of? You know what I mean when I'm saying it.
Guidance.
It's made.
It's made out of
It's made
guidance.
out of people.
No, it
Yeah.
ain't. No, it ain't.
No,
Muslims
no,
are-
hey,
all right, let me change the question.
there was no
Let me change-
Muslims,
let me
would there
change the
still be
question.
Islam?
Let me change the question.
If there was no
Let me change
Muslim,
the
would there still
question.
be Islam?
I agree with you.
You have to
I agree
differentiate
with you.
between
Listen,
Islam.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm sorry, I stand corrected. You guys have corrected me, yeah? Thank you very much. Muslims, are they all scholars or are they all laymen?
Some are laymen, some are scholars.
In percentage, what would you say?
The majority are laymen.
So in terms of representative
Who do you ask?
in terms of representatives of Islam, yeah, in terms of representatives of Islam, am I more likely to speak to scholars or
Yeah, more
laymen
likely laymen.
that live with me?
Laymen.
Am
Yeah.
I going to learn maths
Do
from a
you
maths
represent
teacher
Islam? Do you
or
not?
a layman?
Exactly.
Am
Do
I,
you represent
wait,
Islam?
Jedi,
Yeah, he
am I
does,
going to
he
learn
does.
maths from
You
a
are
maths teacher or a
somebody-
layman?
Who's there? Who's available?
Who
Who's available?
would you
I will
prefer to
take
go
you to him. I will
Who's got
take you to somebody who
got
knows.
the stronger knowledge?
I will take
I
you
will
to
have the
brother,
stronger
I will
knowledge.
take
I
you
will
to
learn.
Do you have
Of
to go
maths.
and call your
I will
scholars to
take you.
answer him?
I will learn.
I will
Okay,
take
forget
him. I will
about
take you.
I'm
scholars.
going
I
at the
will learn.
baseline.
You cannot answer his question.
All right, I will-
Forget about
Ask
scholars.
somebody who knows.
Wait, guys, we're shouting over each
But
other.
you're
Yeah?
asking somebody who doesn't know.
You are
Answer that
excited.
question.
I could take it
You
to
are
somebody who
excited.
knows.
No,
You
no,
are excited.
you don't
Somebody
need
to
your
answer your
scholar
question.
to answer his question.
Brothers,
He doesn't want to answer. That's why.
One at a time.
He doesn't want to answer. He doesn't want to answer.
Yeah,
I don't.
because we
I don't
can't. We're
want
not letting
answers.
him
You don't want
answer.
answers.
You're
That's
not letting me answer.
Listen,
I want.
listen,
You're asking
wait,
laymen who
wait,
don't-
let him answer
Honestly,
the question.
you,
Then,
you
yeah,
know
you can
can't.
go next.
You actually can't.
I
You
can't
can't
speak.
come in and speak, yeah.
Listen,
But these
answer-
brothers are speaking.
answer the
One,
question.
you're undermining these man, yeah.
I'm
You're
not.
you of course you're undermining them.
I'm
You're
not.
telling them they're lame men
Yeah.
and they don't know the
They-
answers.
they will tell
Listen,
you they're
the
lame.
questions I'm asking, which I don't believe are scholastic questions, because I'm not a scholar.
No.
So I'm a layman
I asked
asking
you
a layman's question
I asked you
to
a
fellow
layman's
laymen.
question. I
So,
asked you
yeah?
a layman's
Now
And
you
we-
can ask. We don't care about.
Exactly.
We don't need the scholar
When you
to
start
answer
talking
your
about
question.
If you
what
don't know,
beef is,
just say it.
when we start talking
You don't
about,
know.
yeah,
Speculate.
exactly.
I
Then
don't
don't give
know,
him an
so you
answer
don't know.
though.
Okay,
You
but
don't
if
need
you
the
really want to
scholar
answer
to
to
answer
your
you.
question,
No,
you
you
have
don't
to take it to somebody who
know.
knows the answer.
Or you can bring that person here.
I'll give you an
But
example.
why? I'm not going to
I'll
seek
give you an
no
example.
questions on
You
Islam.
don't need
bro.
any
Why would
scholars
I?
to
Why?
answer your
Why would I
question.
go to the mosque to go and speak
The
about Islam?
student is supposed to seek knowledge. You are the.
I'm
It's
here.
not
the
seeking
person with
knowledge.
knowledge is not supposed to seek you.
Me being here, oh my brother.
I think that's enough of that. Man, my freaking hair hurts. See how that guy was coming in and saying, "You need to talk to scholars. Don't talk to these laymen. Don't talk to these laymen." And no one was really, against it. No one was really saying, "Hey, don't call us laymen and whatnot." Right? It's just funny that he was able to come in there and say, "Don't speak to these guys." But the funny thing is, when no question is being asked and people are just talking about things, they let anyone talk. Oh, right, I think we have a new guest. Oh, okay, gone. Somali thoughts, try again. I'm not sure what's happening. You hopped in and you hopped back out, so try and yeah, try again. We can have a conversation. But yeah, so essentially he's basically coming in, that Somali guy was coming in and he was saying scholars this, scholars that, right? Okay, so let me see here. Yeah, Somali thought, can you talk, please? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you kept like every time I wanted to invite you on, you were hopping off. I'm not sure if you're having issues.
Yeah, I was the audio. I was having issues with the audio.
Okay, I think all is good now. Yeah,
Yeah, all was good. All was good.
yeah, you can hear me. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
All right. So how you doing, man? I think it's your first time here, right?
No, me حسستني ما حسست سامي هيركلي. You remember me?
Oh, of course, Sam. I didn't know this is you, man. Because last time you
Yeah,
came in
man.
as
I had
Sam
to.
Hercules last time. That's it. How's it going, bro?
Yeah, like I had a. It has been good. I just had like
Yeah,
a crazy
everything's
stuff
well. Yeah,
I had to
everything's
deal
good.
with, so I kind of had to lay low on my
No,
channel.
that's good, man. No. You're good though, right? You good?
Yeah,
Everything
yeah,
good?
yeah.
Yeah.
Things are well. Things are well. Yeah, but
Awesome, man.
I'm
Awesome, man.
putting in more work. Now more videos about to come out soon.
Oh, for real, eh?
Yeah,
Damn. See, see already.
it was just a
Buhal is
mishap, man.
yeah.
But I can't let them stop me, man.
Nah, man. You can't. You can't. Especially not if you're living in the West, bro. I think it's a responsibility at times. You know what I mean? But Bohol is
Yeah, yes,
finest is
sir.
trolling us. He said, "ورياضة علماء أفلق ديننا." It's funny though, right?
Uh,
It's funny how Bohol is just trolling, man. Yo, come on, man. Come on the panel, Bohol. But yeah,
uh,
bro. Like I was thinking about this. I was on this crazy app called Clubhouse. I've been a bit addicted to it the last couple of weeks there, and having conversations, right? And I'm hearing myself say, "Hey, look, this says this, that, and the other in the Quran and the Hadith and all that, right?" And people are like, "Get out of here! You're lying, Islamophobic, blah blah blah," right? The same thing is said to them by a scholar, quote unquote scholar, and they take it, don't even blink, almost like zombified. So this really, really made me think, bro. Like, hey, what up, little man? Sordo, man. So it really, really made me think, right, as to why. Here's the troll. Yeah, well, it's fine. It's how you doing, broski? I don't know if you can hear us, but you're on mute, bro. Sam, I don't know if you remember Bohal is fine. You guys were on the panel last time, I think, together. Last time you were here, but yeah, I don't know if maybe he's
I
having
think
some issues with his.
حسستها.
حسيت ما على مركز يابي يا اخوان يابي وحنيدي. Why is it that people are on the, and and I'm sure you've had this before, Sam, in many of your how could I like debates or talks or conversations with Muslims. waxaa lagu odhan doonaa anigu ma garanayo sheekh wala weydiin sheekh weydii algan, huh? Like ask a scholar. I'm not a scholar, so I don't know. I'm not a scholar. I'll go now. Somebody. So, hey, little man, what's going on, bro? Welcome. Yeah, you know what I mean. والويدين hey, ask a scholar. I don't know. I don't know. Ask a scholar. Then it's like, okay, and I don't know if you ever noticed that, but they always.
How you doing, Matt? You right?
I'm good, bro. How you doing, man? You good?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you're back, man. I've been missing the show,
I know, bro. Life got in the way, man. Life gets in the way, bro. And
I'm glad you found time for it. I know it's
you
Christmas and all that, innit? It's a
nah,
bit stressful
man.
at the moment.
No, it's not even that, bro. It's just like I got I'm just working on a business and all that, bro. So it's just asking a little bit of my time, a little bit more of my time.
I hear you. Well, I'm grateful that you're finding time to even do it. Well, to be honest with you.
Thanks, bro.
No, sometimes you get wound up,
Yeah, no,
I'm glad that it's growing, it's doing well,
I mean,
a lot of people asking me about.
Yeah. Oh, what happened, man? You hopped off, little man. What'd you push, man? I don't know what happened. Anyways, little man's gonna be back momentarily. So, they always say talk to a sheikh. Like Ali said, they say talk to a sheikh because it hides their insecurity. That's very well said. They need the confirmation from a scholar to provide, right? All right, so let me welcome you, little man. Your camera's on, bro. Oh, my bro. What dalbar ba? So do dalbaro. Bay maqlaysaa saaxiib, bay maqlaysaa mise waa adiga?
asxaabta qaaliga joogto ya buuhood la joogo
nin culus.
wow long time saaxiib yaal seetiin
Wali war dalbaro. Yeah, that's the band is back together. Yeah.
wow
Dalmar, we're happy to see you, Dalmar.
leel soo dhawo saaxiib saa tahay
nabad wallah, I'm happy to see you wallah.
yeah sidoo kale walaalkay qaali soo dhawo
haye so they missed you, Dalmar. way ku darsadeen dadkii niyo Dalmaro.
dagaalkii aan waxaan ka wadnaa meel oo
clubhouse uga sheekay
ha hadda xataa waxaa socoto dood ku saabsan islaamka iyo adoonsiga marka anaaba moderatorka hadda 15 daqiiqo ay socotay waan xoogaa waxaa ay asxaabta soo salaan dagaalkaasaan wadnaa yes
war xakaa aniguna waan igu iman doonaa markaan dambeeyo xalkane laakiin waa inaan noo sii socodsiid waa kan ninkii gaaljireno waa kush weeyaan
gaaljireno waa joogaa wow
maanta waa laisku yimide wade ka wara dalmaro inaadeer waxaan ka hadlanaa maanta markay waxaan arkay clubhouse soo madarig qaar baan la hadlayo waxay yidhahdeen waraa waxaa ma garan karaysid soo madarig waa inaan sheekh la hadalno markaas caynkaad u difaaci karaysaa ma ku yidhahdo caynkiiba wax u difaaci karaysaa haddaad markastaan kula hadlaba aad guleeda sheekh u tag haye baan sheekhaan isku raacno meel baan joognay sheekh joogay exactly waxaan idhi buu idhi waa laga qaatay dalmarow indhahaygii oo shana waa laga qaatay hadda word for word waxaan idhi wax afkayga ka soo baxay wax afkiisa ka soo baxay isku mid ay ahaayeen waxay igula jireen wilwaal yaa igula jiray ahaydon saddex anaka xakaad meel kale ka dagaaltamayna dalmaro ka boqolba ku jirnay
ajaa'ib ya wasaas mogtahay waxay eegayaan authority-ga eegayaan so qofka authority-ga haddaad wadaad tahay cumaamad u xidhato wax walba ku tiraado way iska dhegaysanayaan marka waana logical fallacy way waxaasoo kale inaad qofkan magac buu leeyahay cumaamad buu wataa waa sheekh darteed shit kasta inaad ka qaadato looma baahna waa inaad wixii yes maxamed dawaaraa sheegay appeal to authority al dhahaa waa logical fallacy
sax
marka wax walba oo sheegayo macnaheedu ma aha inay sax tahay waa inaad qiimeyn karto evaluation ku samayn karto iska baari karto marka adiga markaad u sheegayso wuu kaa diiday laakiin sheekha markuu u sheegay wuu ka yeelay fiir waxaas adiga
maskaxdooda maxaa ku dhacdan isweydiiyey saaxiibo maxaa maskaxdan ilan qof soo jeeda weeyaanu surwaal buu gashadaayo shinis buu xidhaayo markaas xabad ka baxama ma qof waalan maaha ilan qofkaan la sheekaysanaya marka appeal to authority marka laba mirir ba u kala dhaxaysa dal mar oo been ku sheegi maaynaada laba mirir ba u kala dhaxaysay wax markan anigu wax idhi iyo markuu qofkay sheekh ku sheegayeen uu isla waxa idhi soo ma fahmi cajiib ayaa iga dhacday meesha maan cajiib bay noqotay wala yaab marka intaad adigu scientific baa tahay dal maro maad maqashay weligaa maxaa ku leedahay Milgram's obedience experiment miyaad maqashay
noo yar sharax walaalow
okay so Milgram wuxuu sameeyey wuxuu ahaa yahuudi ahaa marka maxaa ku leedahay mid Germany Nazi ku jiray oo la yiraahdo Adolf Hoffman ayaa maxkamadda la saaray markii la soo qabtay markuu dhamaaday dagaalada markay dhamaadeen wala soo qabto markaasuu yidhi anigu I was just following orders buu yidhi anigu amar ayuunbaan daba socday buu yidhi soo ma fahmin marka maxaa ku leedahay Milgram muxuu isweydiiyey dee dadka ma German people kumba caynkan u waalan mise dadka oo dhan baa laga dhaadhicin karayaa heede you following orders ayuu isweydiiyey marka anigu dee maxaa ku leedahay waxaan samayn doonaa waxaan yardaaray waxa experimentka si fiican u sharaxaysa waayo waxaan ka arki karaynaa maxaa ku leedahay xaqi ka timid waa Milgram experiment naade waa mid aad iyo aad loo yaqaano weeyaan so let me share waa 4 daqiiqood weeyaan so let me just share it malaas fiican baan fahmi doonaa taasna ila yar daawada taa waa it's not too long okay.
One of the most famous studies of obedience in psychology was carried out by Stanley Milgram, a psychologist at Yale University. He conducted an experiment focusing on the conflict between obedience to authority and personal conscience. In 1963, Milgram examined justifications for acts of genocide offered by those accused at the World War II Nuremberg war criminal trials. Their defense often was based on obedience, that they were just following orders from their superiors. Milgram devised the experiment to answer the question, could it be that those who committed such atrocities in the Holocaust were just following orders? Could we call them all accomplices? Milgram wanted to investigate whether Germans were particularly obedient to authority figures, as this was a common explanation for the Nazi killings in World War II. Milgram selected participants for his experiment by a newspaper advertising for male participants to take part in a study of learning at Yale University. The procedure was that the participant was paired with another person and they drew lots to find out who would be the learner and who would be the teacher. The draw was fixed so that the participant was always the teacher, and the learner was an actor hired, pretending to be a real participant. The learner, who was an actor called Mr. Wallace, was taken into a room and had electrodes attached to his arms, and the teacher and researcher went into a room next door that contained an electric shock generator and a row of switches marked from 15 volts, which is a slight shock, to 375 volts, which had a danger reading of severe shock, and up to 450 volts, which is enough to kill a human being.
Get me out of here, please.
Continue, please. Go right on.
I refuse to go on. Let me out.
The experiment requires you continue, teacher. Please continue.
Participants were comprised of 40 males aged between 20 and 50, whose job ranged from unskilled to professional. They were paid $4.50 just for turning up to the study. At the beginning of the experiment, they were introduced to the other participant, which was the actor, taking on the role as the learner. The experimenter, who was also an actor, was dressed in a grey lab coat, played by an actor, not Milgram himself. 2 rooms in the Yale laboratory were used, one for the learner with an electric chair, and another for the teacher and the experimenter with an electric shock generator. The learner, Mr. Wallace, was strapped to a chair by electrodes. After he had learned a list of paired words given to him to learn, the teacher tests him by naming a word and then asking the learner to recall its partner or pair from a list of 4 possible choices. The teacher is told to administer an electric shock every time the learner made a mistake. The learner gave mainly wrong answers on purpose, and for each of these, the teacher gave him an electric shock. When the teacher refused to administer a shock, the experimenter was to give a series of orders and prods to ensure that they continue. There were 4 prods, and if one was not obeyed, then the experimenter, who was called Mr. Williams, read out the next prod, and so on. The 4 prods were, firstly, please continue. Secondly, the experiment requires you to continue. 3, it is absolutely essential you continue. 4, you have no other choice but to continue. So what were the results of the study? Milgram found that 65%, almost 2/3 of the participants who played the role as the teachers administering the electric shock, continued to the highest levels of 450 volts. All the participants continued to at least 300 volts. Milgram did more than one experiment. In fact, he carried out 18 variations of the study, all with similar results. So this can't be taken as once-off random and non-occurring event. All he did was alter the situation to see how this affected obedience. From the results of the study, Milgram developed a theory called the agency theory. Milgram explained the behavior of his participants by suggesting that people have 2 states of behavior when they are in a social situation. The first is the autonomous state. People direct their own actions and they take responsibility for the results of those actions. Then there is the agentic state. People allow others to direct their actions and then pass off the responsibility for those consequences to the person giving the orders. In other words, they act as agents for another person's will. Milgram suggested that 2 things must be in place for a person to enter this agentic state. Firstly, the person giving the orders is perceived as being qualified to direct other people's behavior. That is, they are seen as a legitimate source of authority. Secondly, the person being ordered is able to believe that the authority will accept responsibility for what happens. Agency theory stipulates that people will obey an authority when they believe that that authority will take responsibility for the consequences of their actions. And that's all for today's video. I hope you found it interesting.
We by no so okay, Sammy, is that you? Can you talk, please, Sammy? Sammy Arbam.
Hello?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh.
Can you hear me?
وفعني he said.
ما في عنها ما مالس في عن.
Ha.
حي إسكا ورن. أنا قصة يا. وسودو ولا.
Okay.
Are you okay?
Yeah, it's just that I'm nervous and I've never been here before, so like it's like my first time.
مايا وعادي ويان وإنكي ويان.
سودو
سودو ولا. Yeah. So
okay.
This is Sammy, guys. Sordو ويا. Marcus, so what do you guys think of this experiment? A pilgrim experiment. Carry your height today.
How you doing, Sammy? You right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Was it your first time here? What made you come to this channel? How did you find out about this channel? We just want to know out of curiosity, not to shun you away.
Yeah, it's not an interview.
We appreciate anyone that comes to this channel.
Yeah, maybe we'll let them get comfortable a little bit, get their bearings.
Sorry, no, man. Sorry.
No worries.
I'm excited.
No problem. Sordo, Sammy. Marcus Sordo. Kali وحيتري. Them Milgram experiment is a great analogy. What do you guys think of that analogy?
Yeah. I don't even agree with the كلمات that استعملت وحاتري scholars. نمكن أنا scholars وما أقان صحيح وحنا قانا clergy أما clerics. وايو dadkan clergy اللي يراها أما scholars أما dadkan كل شيء clerics. وحي شيء جايان وحلا حقيقة كرمها. You can't test it, you can't prove it. حتى قابلو دبقة لمجته. لكن مثل scholars أنا it seems more academia. مين كان تدان كهذا
right.
Yeah, it's more
That's how it feels to me anyway. Sorry.
Yeah, marka anda ku wado sheekadan حتى waxaad arkaysaa walaal ilmahan xataa fiiri oo ingiriis ka baxay ku ISIS aaday cunug waxaad adkaysaa oo norm iska ah oo macnaha schoolkiisa iska dhigto banonigiisa iska aado maskaxda marka laga xado oo meeshaas aado you can commit the most atrocious of crimes markino حتى waxaan ku sii karaa حتى another example حتى dagaaladii Badri Uhud حتى wiil ma abiis dilay soo maaha so waxyaabahan is not wax oo lagu cusub macnaha so I can see the connections مقدر waan fahmi karaa connectionka qofka marka maskax habeen hore clubhouse one second habeen hore clubhouse nin baa wuxuu soo diray a very good book waxaa lagu wacaa the book the rape of the mind wuxuu ka hadlaa the psychological macnaha the psychology of thought control waana shay oo serious bini aadanka inay yeeshaan cilmi ay dadka brainwash macnaha this is very advanced dadka waxyaabahan sameeya.
Okay, so this you're basically comparing it to that book adigu imika.
Ha bugaas iyo diimaha de sometimes waxay awoodaan de diimaha badanaa waxay fahansan yihiin qofka qaabka oo de brainwash ku dhaco qaabka oo maskaxda qofka loogu macnaa loo xakameeyo ama loo controlo waxaasoo dhan waxay ku yihiin from an early time waxay ahayn very very advanced.
Absolutely. Yeah, how do you think Mr. Homeboy? How can we participate in the program? I have a lot of questions. I just sent the link right there. That's the link. So click on that link on Sora, and it's gonna lead you to us, so you can hop on the panel. So and you're most welcome. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. Like I was thinking about my Milgram markan arcade dad maskaxdi laga gatay. Yeah, arcade. But لكن waxbaan ka naxay anigu experimentka waxbaan ka naxay waxa weeyaan boqolkiiba 65 hada oo dadka la tasgareeyay ah waxayna obedience base ka ahaayeen ilaa ma 400 watts amba 400 notch bi gaarsiin electricity qofka bini'aadamku wuxuu ku dhintay 300 ma dhaafin karaysid electric shock bay markaa qofka siinayeen just because some guy in a lab coat baku idi keep going so ma fahmin so well the yab the neho because dadkii baad leedahay dadkan sakso socono de qof kastaba wax lagu shuban karayaa ka dhigan tahay xakeebay ku kala duwan yihiin dadku
waxaan ku dir karaa there's this book by a famous philosopher oo Yahuud ahaa jirtay Hannah Arendt waxay tiri day markay baartay nimankii Naziga ahaa oo the Third Reich nimankii macnaha waalnay waxay tiri waxa ahayn niman ordinary niman iska caadi aan sadistic ahayn oo macnaha family leh dad leh marka waxyaabahan waa it's unbelievable qof saas in uu sameyn karo kadib macnaha waad garanaysaa wixii lagu sameeyay Yahuudi dagaalka adduunka labaad
of course
marka it's waa complicated laakiin dad baa fahansan qaabka waxaan loo sameeyo
there's a methodology. Exactly, or bewitchment. Like, well, it's not talk to the sheikhs no more. When you ask questions, you are automatically gal. That's one of the tactics, isn't it? Well, we've seen it. Yeah.
Ayado Yahuud ahayd ba waxay leedahay waxa laga yaabaa inay dhacday the Nazi genocide inay lahayn no evil intentions. Bay ku doodaysaa buugeeda. Waa it's unbelievable. Ma garatay?
marka doodeedu waa maxay doodii qabto waa maxay
doodeeda waxa weeyaan waxay taagan tahay mas'aladu ma aha the black and white sheekadu ma aha ninkan wuxuu yahay waxa soo sameeyay waxa arkay qof fiican haddana heerkaas aadi karo ma kartay
sax may waarun
because aniga when we imagine things waxaan u maleynaa qofkaas inuu weligiis ka xumaay oo haddana ku sii darsaday
exactly that's exactly what it is somaha وعجيب وين dadkan marka eegimika maxaa ku leedahay sheekh lagu leeyahay soo madrig marka sabab leadership oo loo baahan yahay marka la sameeyo oragto ma hierarchy marka dadku ay doonayeen intay they want to found a city and found an organization qof baa laga dhigtaa the leader miyaan yahay taa waa loo baahan yahay doesn't matter whether it's an enterprise or a soccer team waad u baahan tahay captain miyaan yahay the problem anigu aan u arko waxa weeyaan markaad maskaxdaada oo dhan qofka u dhiibatid
the problem ani aan arko waxay tahay if you yourself can't distinguish wixii saxan iyo wixii qaldan hadaad u dhiibatid diin hadaad u dhiibatid ideology hadaad u dhiibatid fikrad hadaad u dhiibatid siyaasad hadaad u dhiibatid nationalism
sax
waxyaabahaas oo dhan way ka bixinaysaa adiga ma ifaan sheekada
mee waa runtaa weeyaan boqolkiiba liirkadii mid baa nagu soo biirsamay mise gabadh geedii aqoonta mana maqashaa geedii mana maqashaa saaxiib
سبع
ودنا مغلسة سما
سبع ما دام غنيا 100 بس 4 شهور
ما تقول هو صاحب ناس شو مكبا
exactly ها laakiin se in badan baa waxa weeye waa ku xidhnaa muxuu ahaa streamkaaga
soo dhow nagu soo biirsade haye fikradaada wana la joogi karaysaa nala sheekayso waxaad ay doonaysid nala wadaagtid nala wadaagday soo dhowow waa kusoo dhowaan maanta we have Sami and we have JD oo noo jidida waa adigaa mudan walaalkii adaa mudan soo dhowow yeah man so it's good that dad badan baa imika sheekooyinkan aragtay maaha waxaan ka arkay aniguna boholdo intaad aragtay adiga dalmarinta ila aragtay ma garanaya clubhouse dadkii bay isku furfurtay soo ma arag amba internetku waa clubhouse kala qaaday internetka dadkii buu isku furfuray marka halkii shalay toolay qof kastaba koonihiisa yarda iska joogi jiru iska aamusnaan jiray
waa la isbartay saaxiibo
waa la isbartay oo imika wala soo bixi karaya waa iska sheekaysan karaya soo ma arag qof kastaba xakaas meel ka joogaayo qof kastaba waxa ka suya laakiin imika fiicantay waa la soo sheekaysan karaya yadii on day aragtay soo maaha ina la is arkayn oo dunida meel kasta laga kala joogo and that's the greatest thing anigu wax aad u fiican baan u arkaa waxa anigu saaxiibo soo ma adrig oo waxaan oo kale aan ka sheekaysan karana marka anigu scholars maanta waxaan uga sheekeynay waxa weeye just to understand halkan ay ka imanayso in sheekadani halkii ka soo socoto iyo dadkan lagu shubtay maxaa ku daay like zombies oo kale almost ma fahanti
si waan
marka waxaan
I think the whole thing in general. Oh, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead, Sammy.
Okay, so I said like the whole experiment is inhumane. I don't think like it's good. It's like bad. Like why the hell?
Okay, but Sammy, maybe I should explain that experiment. So that experiment, the shocks that were given to the human, they were not real. They were not real shocks. My fancy. It was an actor. You understand? I don't know. We can't hear you, Sammy, if you're speaking. But anyways, so maybe I should explain this a little bit more.
You know?
Yeah, but I don't know. Did you hear me, Sammy? You're breaking up. I don't know if you can hear me, but what I was trying to say was, hop back in. Actually, what I was trying to say is when they were doing the experiment, the Pilgrim experiment, the Milgram's experiment, actually, I should say, there was a paid actor that was acting as if they were getting shocked, but the person giving the shock was a real person. You understand what I'm saying? It was a real person administering the shocks, but the shocks were not real. So I mean, if those were real, I understand that would be completely inhumane, but the shocks were not real. So maybe I should have said that, and that was not clear in the video. But yeah, so the first question is, do we need these? Do we I believe we need some sort of order, right? Whenever markaan maxsameynano aan hogaaminayno waan u baahannahay qof na hogaamiya amba sheekada wada waa loo baahan yahay taa lagama maarmayo sooma
tani dib baa jira meesha dibka jira wuxuu yahay kanay wax yar hordhac sameyn kara walaal
ku soo saaxiibo.
The problem is horta that feels diinta islaamka ama diinta masiixiyada horta kristaanka waxay qabaan wax la yiraahdo kahnuud ama some sort of like priesthood mi fahamtay waxaa jiro hatta that feels Catholic oo kale waxay qabaan the Pope ninkaas macnaha so it's a little bit more easier to reform.
There's a seminary
waxaa jiro hierarchy oo loo jeedo oo lala hadli karo wax bedeli karo laakiin islaamku ma qabo no priesthood marka waxaa arkay hundreds of tafsir was completely decentralized mi fahamtay walaal. So how do you reform something that's completely decentralized? yaad la hadlaysaa nin walbo fikradiisu qaba nin walbo tafsiirkiisu qaba nin walbo so it's like it's a mess me fahante
but that's also what makes it very dangerous because qof kasta iska qaadan karaya qof kasta iska qaadan karaya you know what I mean?
Even ISIS even Daesh nimankaas dhan way qaadan karaan
exactly waa kan imika Return of the King wuxuu ku leeyahay we love and appreciate our scholars really so
he's a resident me fahante
made the egg waxaa dhacday waxa weeyaan dadka scholarska laga dhiganaya beritolana nebi noqda that's anigu taas aan la yaabanahay dadku aan arkayn
laakiin waxaan isku darin walaal horta dadka sunniga ninka uu sareeyo waxa la yiraahdaa mufti nimankan shiicadna waxa la ayatullah mi fahante waxaa jira caalim waxaa jira sheekh waxaa jira imaam waxaa jira khatiib waxaa jira way badan yihiin dadka aan ka hadlayno marka I don't know macnaha exactly qofkaan haysano wax dhan isku dhex jiraan ma garata
aad ma waran weeyaan yaho ya maxaa ku doonaya intaa idhaahdo in dalmar soo yar noqon doonaaye gediyow صاحب maxaad ka sheegaysaa adigu de in shuyuukhdan iyo scholarskan iyo maxaad nagu soo beesan karaysaa maxaad ka filaysaa adigu niyo maadna maqasha ha
oo geediga aqoonta aad la hadlaysa soo ma
ha geedi aqoonta
waa sax
very good name by the way aad baan jeclay magaca
geediga aqoonta geedi haddii si kale loo yirahdana waxa weeye waa geedi ama waa socdaal ama waxa weeye guritaan weeye xagga soomaaliga sida rasmiga weeye
okay waxbaadna bartay hadda ka soco saaxiib
wallahi waxa weeye horta waxaan doonayay waa habeenada ugu horeysa marka inaan waxa weeye dhegteeda baalo waa si fiican sidaa sheegteena waxa weeye waa sax marka waxay muuqataa aniga waxa weeye in afkaara marka waxa weeye mar walba dowladda marka iminka isku hayaan soomaalida gudaheeda haddii aan lahayd waxa weeye dadkii hore muxuu ahaa dadka maaragtay inta badan diinta ku tacasuba ama diinta aad iyo aad waxa weeye uga dambeeya iyo dadka maaragtay iminka aqoonta waxa weeye magaraysa ama la socda ama sayniskan waxa weeye mar walba ku haya qaliilayda ha ahaato iyo dadka waxa weeye maankooda kaashada ha ahaato labadaba
kala duwan yihiin ha
aad iyo aad marka waxay muuqataa marka in waxa weeye wixii afkaarihii badnaa ee dadku inta badan waxa weeye ay nuugeen waxa weeye qaarkood xitaa aan iska shaandhayn waxa weeye laga daba tegay mar walba waxa weeye mar walba lasoo qofayo waxa weeye wax la iska weydiinayo
marka geedi ayaa weydiinaya
dadka
waxaad in la isweydiiyaa tiri soo ma
aad iyo aad marka dadka inta badan dadka isweydiinaya inta badan waxa weeye qaybtan mar walba xagga marka laga hadlayo waxbarashada qaybta formalka qaybna informal marka qaybta informalka oo kale qofka ardayga marka ugu horeysa waxaa la geeyey kg lama geeyo marka waddankan joogna waxaa la geyn jiray malcamad baa toos lagu geynaya
wakaas
malcamada toos marka lagu geeyo waxa weeye aqoontu system male oo markaa male waxa weeye curriculum male waa inaad diinta markaa qur-aanka baa lagu bilaabaya iyo carabi baa lagu soo bilaabaya oo weliba ay la socoto waxa weeye banishment iyo ciqaabada la socda ma garaysa
Okay, no man, just as a question.
Markaas
I was just gonna ask wiilka hadda ma Soomaaliya ka soo hadlaysaa? I just want to know the perspective of a person.
Okay. ما شخصية عندي سقو مش دونا جوجي.
No, I want to know like as in so I know where other people are coming from.
Okay.
You know, he sounds very fresh. He sounds like my little brother. My little brother lives in Somalia. So I wanted to know, you know, that can and the family Somalia Keimania. I'm so intrigued to know.
That's a good question.
Okay, أنا كسؤالي صح؟
هذا كسؤالي جد.
Yes, marka waxa weeye qofku halku wax isweydiin la qofku marka ugu horeyso wuxuu helayaa ciqaabaad istaba jooga ma garaysa oo qofku marka ugu horeyso waxa weeye waxbarasho istaba socota oo aanu qofku wax iska weydiinayo su'aal celin aanu ku lahayn oo marka ciqaabada ay daba socdaan qofku marka ugu horeyso la kulmaya marka waxa weeye qofku waxa weeye knowledge ma jirto marka waxa weeye waa caqiidahan faith caqiidahan baad u qaadanaysaa waxa weeye waxba iskama weydiin kartid waxaad nugtay oo dhan oo macaamad ahaato wixii maxadkaad ku dhigata ahaato iyo wixii aad waxa weeye dhammaanto waxna su-aal lama soo marka taas waxay keenaysaa qofku inuu waxa weeye mar walba xitaa qur-aankiisa ama kitaabkiisa inaan waxba iska weydiin laakiinse uu qofku idol u haysto ama dadku waxa weeye macaamada oo kale aan waxa weeye hadal kusoo celin karin ama dadka shuruucda masaajidka ka horreeyaan hadal kusoo celin karin deetana waxa weeye xataa mararka qaarkood waxa weeye uu inkaaraad iyo habaan moodayo haddii hadal kusoo celiyo ama wax iska weydiiyo ama su-aal kusoo celiyo taasina qofka waxa weeye wax isku biirsanaya su-aalo badan oo waxa weeye haddana aan qofkaan waxa weeye ma garaysa aan kusoo celin taasina waxay keentay mararka qaarkood taariikhaan soomaalida horena waxa weeye waxaa jiri jiray dadka miyada wareega oo kale wadaadada waxaa dhici
jirta midna ka galay how is that you how not timid how madigiiba mid ba ku jirtaa walaal ada hadlaysidee
السلام عليكم السلام عليكم maxaa sheekhyada laga sheegayaa reer
Soo
gaaloy
dhawow, Xawa.
ma nimanka dharka dhaadheer iska daysaan
Daynimeyna
how
waa
are
soo
you
soconaynaa.
guys
Oh,
I
we're
missed
good,
you
man.
all so much
We missed you, Xawa. Soo dhawow, walaalo. Oh my God, it's been a
waa
while,
idin
man.
wada yeah, I know waa idin wada salaamay dadka cusub iyo dadkii hore everybody
Waa kaa
how
qaadnay,
all
walaashay.
everyone's doing good
Everybody's good, walaashay. Maanta maxaa ku wada geedi waa noo wadi fikradiisa marka waad noogu xigi
ha
doontaa dee.
waa dhegaysanaya ha ku soco
Waaye,
geedi
ku
walaal
soco geedi walaalkay. Geedi ma nama la soo
marka
saaxiib?
waxaan doonayaa
Ha.
adiyaad may maqlaysaan iminka
Ha, iminkaan ku maqalnaa saaxiibo. Ku soco.
ha marka inaan soo khulaasay de all in all marka waxa weeye qaybo badan positive way leeyihiin oo dad waxa weeye iyaguna open mind ah oo waxa weeye iyagu qaarkood urudiimeeda ku jira marka urudiimeedkaas waxa weeye afkaartiisa uu la qabaa waa isaga laftiisu ma doonayo isagu inuu waxa weeye aragtiisa laftiisu naag soo dhigo qaarkood waa ku khasban yihiin marka waa inuu haystaa ma garaysaa marka adigana taas kugu haynaya uu ogyahay inaan waxa mararka qaar waxyaa qaar qaar soconayn oo waxa weeye ma garaysaa marka isagana saas lagu soo waday adna saas lagu waday weeye ma garaysaa marka anyway qaybo badan oo positive ana way jiraan laakiin inta badan waxa weeye waa adagta inaad heshaa waana qarsanayaan waana waxa weeye bana public xataa laftigooda isagoo maxadki iyo macallin ugu weyn xataa isagoo laftiisu public baan u sheegi karaa ma garaysaa kaasaas ku soo
Aad baa
koobiya
masantahay geedi, aad baa masantahay walaalkay nala joog. Xawo, dee adigu waa adigan na difaacayay ragga duruucda xidhane bal hay nooga sheekee.
anu waxaan u arkaa sheekhyada mataqaanaaye waa google camal there's so many of them there's so many views like google markaa gashid it's hard to find one answer so maha su-aal baa weydiinaysaa kun wax hadda waa helaysaa so sheekhyada is like that I don't have a problem hadduu qofi su-aal weydiiyo sheekh laakiin mushkiladda waxay noqonaysaa markii oo aa google noloshaadi ka dhigatid like you depend on Google to tell you how to live your life we don't do that so maha hadda we just go there for extra resources we don't go there to tell us how to live life what to do what's wrong what's right so hadda dadkan qaarkood noloshoodii dhan waxay noqotay sheekha wuxuu dhahaa saxa sheekha wuxuu dhahaa khalada that's where the problem is you depending on somebody else to tell you not only how to live life but diintaada laftirkeeda so muslimiin ama soomaalida badankood waxay dhahaan annaga iyo ilaahay wax ma noo dhexeeyaan soo maha dadka masiixiyiinta ama gaalada waxay ku maagaan kaahinuu leeyahay nin oo aabe lagu sheegayo kaniisada joogaa wax u sheega waxaasay dhahaan ayaga indirectly they doing the same thing because adiga kitaabka ilaahay kuu qoray ma u tegayso ma akhrinayso ma dhehaysid waxaan ma saxba waxaan ma khalad baad sheekh baa u tegaysaa so at the end of the day ninkaas ba adiga ilaahay inii dhexeeya maxaa adiga wixii ilaahay kuu qoray keligaa u fahmi weyday why do you always have to ask a sheekh for everything that's my problem hadda ciyaalka iskoolka jooga haddaa aragtid I have siblings soo maha dugsi bay aadaan wuxuu leeyahay timaha saasaa rabaa inaa u jarta laakiin macalinkii because macalinka sheekhu isku haystaa maho laba ayaduu soo xiftiyo laftirkiisa sheekhu isku haystaa wuxuu ku leeyahay macalinkii wuxuu yidhaha kan waa khalad 5 years old yah wuxuu ku leeyahay macalinkii wuxuu ku dhahay waa xaaraan kan waa xalaal kan waa xaaraan so from the beginning we're told they never lie you know you have to always trust them so intaa yareed waxaasaaba lagugu soo koriyay markaa weynaatid you don't have your own way of thinking waxaa leedahay su-aashaan ma garanaya bal sheekhay u tag wuxuu sheekhay dhaho de ninkan 20 sano 30 sano 40 sanaa jira ninkaana intaa wax iisoo sheegaye hadda maxaa isbedelay aan u tago hadda isaga aan weydiiyo waxaan hedha la samaynaya ma khalad baa ma sax baa adoonsigu makan baa makana marka I don't know I feel like overall we give them a lot more credit than they deserve. We need to think for ourselves. Even if you're Muslim, you still need to think for yourself. Don't depend on them, you know?
Hay bal adigu waxaa noogu horeeyo hade Buhol Lisfanis wuxuuna weydiiyey hade how do you counter such arguments? If you have any questions you should ask a Muslim scholar. You would have asked a surgeon if you want to ask anything about related surgery. waxaan ka sanan doctor baa u tegi lahayd soo maaha waa lagu yidhahdaa aragta soo maaha
here's the thing
go ahead
here's the thing and takhtarka requires medical education so maha anu
oh man I don't know what happened to Hawa man so Hawa you clicked on something you dropped off
she come back this happens to me as well
go ahead little man why don't you answer that
no wallahi I'm so interested wallahi I've got the top strikers today you know nimanka culusa you know like man like Dalmar iyo Nomad iyo you get me
yeah
the horseman I forgot his name Yeah,
The four
come
horsemen.
on,
Yeah,
man.
Bohola's finest is here,
Yeah,
man.
Baller's finest. You got your Baller's. I need to get it on a t-shirt, you know. Baller's finest. Can I rub that, please?
Bohola's
You
finest.
Thanks, man.
There can
Baller's
only be
finest is a
one. There can
general.
only be
You
one.
know,
Look at
Dalmar is a general. You know, Nomad was a big general.
Yo,
And
man.
Governor, she's there as well. She's
Yeah.
general.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
how
learning. I'm learning. I used to think I can teach something, but so far I'm learning, Nomad. I'm here. I'm happy to be here.
That's amazing, bro. So how I don't know what happened.
sorry internetka iga go'a u malaynaya marka waxaan idhaahday it's not a good comparison because annaga medical school ma aanan tegin waxnana mataqaanaa medicine related ma aanan baran laakiin diinta waa teriya laba jir maar waqtigan jirnay waa waxna la dhahaya ilaahay hal baa jira iyo rasuulba 14 kun oo sano ka hor yimi iyo qur-aankii baan xifdino intaa dee nolosheeni dan diin bay ahayd so we know about it. You know what I mean? We don't know about medicine, but we know about religion because our whole life, our whole identity, everything about us as Somalis always relates to religion. مسقشات قليسيد waxa lagu leeyahay lugta midig ha ku galin dee lugta bidix ku gal. Did someone tell me lugta midig ha ku galin because somehow is bad medically? No, right? But they told me religiously is bad. So I already know enough about it. But even if I didn't know, there's books that are in my home, you know, everything. So it's not like the same.
No,
That
well,
is
you're
very
right. You're
true.
right.
That's a very good.
Now, you're very right, though. And what is the why? I beg you guys explain to me why we should put our left foot first. What is the medical reason
No, man,
why?
that's a long
Allahu alam
conversation.
lil man. Don't question ilahi. Allahu
Ilah
alam.
alam. That's
Don't
what they
question
say.
ilahi.
Don't use that word. Ilah alam. Piss me off. Ilah alam. Ilahi will know. Why did Ilahi make it? Ilahi makes the sun for no reason. Him. You know Ilahi. Yeah. Let's say there's a God. I believe there's a God. I believe there's a creator. I believe there's something above us. Call it a creator, call it the master, whatever. But there's this sun, there's earth, there's all this. But why does he care about me putting my left foot in the toilet?
That's just it. He doesn't. That's just it. He doesn't. He doesn't.
Oh.
That's it.
But bro, there's a bigger fish to fry.
No, absolutely. But like in Bohale, you know the question. غابيرو في عم كسو كتمدين حاوي because حكى أنكم من أركين وحنا أنكم أركي يا هذا كان surgeon كان دكتور هذا أدان وحويدينيو أدان could do and I say I'm gonna go get a second opinion هذا ده عذاب اللي يقوموا وضيو اللي يقوموا
That's true.
So ما ذلك أدان هذا ها مساسا I'm not agreeing with you. I'm gonna go get a second opinion. How you go? He's gonna even encourage it. Why you? وحكدم بيم وانا مركز دينيو science let's actually go وانا عنه. Why you? دينتو وحلا قرير. There's no science to it. بحسي science كحويا ومethod ويا ما هو وحقراته. Science كوا method وقاب وحلو بحكر الله ديجو سيد وحفهمتي ويا science.
Nomad. Well, yeah. I work with a Nigerian fella. Yeah. He's my manager. Yeah. This week is my manager for this week. Yeah, for the construction. I work in construction, by the way. Yeah.
Right.
And he was telling me, yo, I'm Nigerian. You know, I said to him, walk. He said to me, yo, we got a God could walk. But he said we also got a God called Bowe and this and that and this. And he goes, you know, they took that away.
Of course, yeah.
They would believe in Jesus.
Yeah. No, absolutely. The Abrahamic religions have done a number on Africa. That's Talis Kumahisto. But like if we talk about the scholars, maybe it's in Africa is different, but I mean it's I don't know why it is that in Africa is where they always give this prominence to scholars. Because
it's about terminologies, your trade routes, your.
That's what I want to, and I want to stay on the question that Bohol is asked. Bohol asked, how do you counter such arguments? So marka lagu idhaahdo de Muslim wana tagtid wana sheekh u tagtid waayo dhakhtar baad u tagi lahayd if you had questions about medicine. Markay labadaas barbar dhigaan
sorry, no, my dear. I'm always going to question you, yeah? It's because I want you to figure out from someone that's come from like me or kind of ground above. Not everyone is smart as many people. I think I consider you smart. Maybe you don't consider yourself smart, but you, I consider you guys smart people. But the way I used to think is, why is it not like that? I grew up like that. I was born in this. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
we were all
How
born in
can I
this.
how can I deny my mom for a guy called Nomad? You know what I mean? That is the logic. Is that
You're
it's like
not, and
the
I'm
way you
not
grew
asking you
me?
to.
You get it?
But the
Do you
thing
know what
is
I
that,
mean?
but that's just it though, and that's actually a good point that you're raising. Waxaan anigu la yaabay waxa weeyaan dadkeena Soomaaliyeed markaan la hadlayo, markaad fikrad la wadaagtid, waxaa lagu weydiinayaa war xakaad nagu wadaa baa lagu weydiinaya as if siday xoolo leeyihiin, xoolo la wado mar kaste siday yihiin oo kale ayaa lagu weydiinaya xakaad nagu wadaa. Anigu, I'm not telling you to trust Nomad, Free Somali Minds,
No, no
Belmont,
man, no man.
anybody. I'm
What age
asking.
is this? What
Yeah,
age is he starts asking questions? That one.
yeah,
What
but let me
age?
finish.
What age?
Yeah, let me finish.
Sorry.
What I'm asking people to do is to actually trust their own intellect, to actually trust waxay meesha ka guuxayaan. Waayo dadka marka loo tago aragtama dadkeenu qof markuu wax idhaahdo, qof markuu xerada ka yarbaxo so to speak, wala soo celiyaa very violently loo soo celiyaa. So madarag. So this is a good question. Anigu kumilihi, don't leave your mom for some guy called new nomad. That's not what I'm asking. I'm saying
No. The
look
question.
at what things are.
I'm not saying leave Hoye. I'm saying like as in how do you get there? You know, like it took me a long
It's a
time.
process.
Well,
Yeah, it's a process, bro. It's a process. Of course, some
so
process.
they know with what kind of questions you ask. You get it? I think
Okay, so
the
this
kind of
is
question I ask is idinka waxaa iska sheegtiin inaad tihiin dad fiican dadkay soo koriyey. So I was looking at dadkay soo koriyey. I looked at other people. I'm like, gaaladan ay sheegaysiin gaalada ayaga fiican. That was for me personally. You get it?
No, I
It's
understand.
not
No,
for
I
everyone.
understand a little bit, but I want to carry. I want
Your parents were good people.
right. No,
My
absolutely.
parents,
Nobody's doubting that, bro.
my
That's not.
parents died, and the people that looked after me weren't good people,
Yeah,
but they prayed a lot. They
yeah,
prayed so much. I used to think, am I bad? I used to
yeah.
question myself, like, am I bad? Because they prayed so much, but they beat the shit out of me and did
Yeah,
certain
no, no,
things.
no, no, little man. But the thing is, the conversation we're having is about the scholars, right? And I want to actually stay on point and answer Bohale's question. How do you counter such arguments? Bohale, Muhammad Dawara wuxuu ku yidhi, the surgeon actually provides a service to perform surgery. The scholar can provide on his intake on a subject matter. Can
Yeah.
provide. Okay, so I guess what he's saying is the scholar can only provide his take on a subjective matter. So, Bohale, what do you think, Hadugu? What are your thoughts?
Sorry, but for you guys, banana skin somehow. Basha like Allah bahna.
I'll get CCT وعادي وين
See. Okay. I think I just put it out there because I wanted to know different perspective. I think the whole premise of this question, I have a problem with it. The whole premise to me is incorrect.
Hey.
Because essentially what they're comparing is knowledge, which is something observable, testable, something that we can
Thank you.
develop.
I agree. Wallahi, I agree.
we
That's all I was trying to say, Nomad.
So 1 second. So we are comparing knowledge with mythology. And the
Right.
two things cannot go together. Why mythology? How do you test it? How do you observe it? How do like for example, let me give an example. The MRI in the 1970s somehow. In 20 years and then we find something even better, different way of doing the MRI and the ultrasound. MRI is forever until the day of judgment. So I may somehow.
Absolutely.
So the premise is wrong. So what it is, in fact, is knowledge versus mythology. That's the way I look at it.
Okay, so that's a very good point. That's a very good point as well. But like, I'm gonna I have a question. Hey, Coco Jasmine Sodowo. Coco changed her profile pic. That's crazy, man. She's taking us for a ride. But anigu waxaan doonayay intaan weydiiyo hade in how adigu nooga horeeyo hade. Why do we obey? Maxaan dadkan uga dambaynaa? Why do you think aan dadkan u maqalnaa aan uga dambaynaa? Maxaan noloshayna oo dhan u daba fadhiisanaa dadkan? How? Especially I want to know the perspective of a woman. How could I? Because the religion is not that nice to women.
Yeah, I feel like I've been gala for too long now. I don't even remember how it was, but I guess I'm becoming free. But I feel like if the concept of
I
hell,
feel like trade routes, isn't it? Trade routes.
yeah, it's okay though, man. I feel like the concept of hell plays a strong what do you call it, like is a really big reason, you know, dadkan dhan waxay sheekha wax u weydiinayaan kaas u weydiinayaan, they trying so hard and everything is just so that they end up in a good place when they die. Fearkaas iyo baqdintaas haddayna jirin, like hadda masalan waxyaalo yaryar oo xaaraana jira soo maha, oo haddaad samaysid I don't really think God will care, laakiinse intaa dadka waxa maskaxda kaga jirta naar ma rabo inaa galo baa ku jirta, so they want to do the best they could do in this life because they existing just to exist, just to obey, just to be slaves to Ilahi so maha. So their best way to do that is following someone that they believe is and has enough knowledge, and Sheikh has always like had that image. So I feel like if the concept of hell, like some religions, they don't have the concept of hell. Somehow people live life because they want to live life that way. But if things go wrong, then we die. So what? Tomorrow we're just gonna die. Nothing happens. Like another naartan la sheegayo baa dadka maskaxda ka wada cuntay. No one's thinking straight because everyone's too afraid to ask questions. Even us in this panel, like imagine the first time, for those that are ex-Muslims, imagine the first time that you had a question, you were like, Ilahi ma jira. Just that thought, you know, just that thought. Madaxa ku wareerinaysa, ma seexan kartid. Right? Like just that thought. So sheekha u tagay. Waxaa dhahaysaa, sheekhow, shakigaan yar ay galay. Huh?
No, hold on, man.
I didn't, but go on. No, you're right.
Yeah. So waxa yar maskaxda kaaga jirta soo maha, reerkaagi ma u sheegi kartid. That's another problem. You cannot comfort to your families because they will tell you to go to Sheikh. They will never sit with you and say, what's wrong, my daughter, my son, yada yada. They will tell you, go to Sheikh. Let's go to Sheikh. Ayaga ba ku kaxaynaya, kaali jinni baa kugu jira, Quran ha lagugu soo akhriyo. So these sheikhs are in our everyday life, so we don't really know anything else. We just know them to be the source for everything that we want to be religiously. I feel like the community, the religion, everything gives them so much credit that we really don't know how to think for ourselves. They've been thinking for us, so might as well go with it. That's how I feel.
That is a very, very good point, Howard. You have no idea because waxaan doonayay anigu waan isweydiiyey maxaan ku dhahday su-aashaas dadkan maxaan u dhegaysanaa, dadkan maxaan u daba fadhiisanaa, waayo waxaan lagu sheegayo maaha wax yar, waxaa lagu leeyahay markaad diimatid dabadeed isnaa wax yar baa la yacniya maaha, waa wax lagu leeyahay waxaanad garanayn weyn. waa anigoo iba ku yidhahdo waxaa aragtaa maaha ina xaafadda halkaas inaga horeysa haabad odan waxay haystaan couch caynkaasa, madbaku waa caynkaas. Yeah, give me 1 second though, little man. Let me finish. So aan ku oranayo maxaan ku idhahdaa horta wax baa jira, couch baa jira, saasaa jirta ayaan ku oranaya. Anigii adigu misku meel baanu fadhinaa oo waad aragtaa that I never moved to go to that house and came back. Somebody baan wara fidna markaasaad haye ma saasaabad gacanta dhabanka ii saaraysaa dhegeysanaysaa. At some point hade ilan qof jiraa tahay waxaa maskaxda kuu soo geli doontaa waraabiyo cunahan isoo kale yak fadhiya. How does he know this shit? How does he know that the couch is orange, that this is the I ku garanaya. I had sweeties at one point or another. Somehow.
Yeah, here's a good point. I really like how you said it, and here's the point about that. waxa ii sheegtay, let's say labadeena waa is ag fadhina, waxaasa iga sheekaysay soo maha. It doesn't really affect me that much haddaan aaminay haddaanan ku aaminin. That's the key. Hadda ninkan sheekha haddaada aaminin, you start questioning yourself, you start having insecurities, you start having fear. waxay is leedahay hadda ninkan ma aaminina yaa su-aasha saxda ii sheegaya, haddaan dhinto amaan naar galaa. laakiin coachka iyo guriga hataa ku aaminay, haddaana ku aaminin xataa waxaan is leeyahay ninkan waa nin waalane, iskaga sii wad sheekada. Iskaga sii wad sheekada. Tomorrow I go about afka u macaani, tomorrow I go about my day. waxba gurigan tegaya, reerkaygan la sheekaysanaya, waxba igama ay dhibin, nin waalan baan soo arko saasuu yidhaahday baan dhahaya. laakiinse the concept about afterlife, that topic needs many episodes of its own, and I feel like a lot of people do the shit they do religiously because of the concept of afterlife. qof kastaba nololan tanaan hadda ku jirno balaan u noolaano walaalayaal. You know, waxaanan ogeyn, waxba ka ogeyn oo berri markaa dhimano lafa noqono qofna soo abuuraya haddana iyo sheekooyinkaas. Let's deal with it when we get there. bal tanaa maanta joogno, don't waste it. But dadka they too focused on afterlife that they forgot the real life.
Do you think that's a matter of giving out accountability? Waayo marka lagaga dhigo aragtamaha dunida lagaga dhigo, it's very temporary, waa la dhimanaya. And I like that markay muslimku yidhahdaan waa meeshan waa laga sii socdaa. We know this. Everybody knows this. Waxani maaha, it's not a news flash maaha. waa laga dhimanaya ha waa la wada garanaya inta laga dhimanayo laakiin inta aad joogtid arag soo maaha maxaad ka qabanaysaa weeyaan sheekadu halkaasay taagan tahay anigu I really waxaa been ku sheegi maayo in su'aashan waan ku yar wareeray waayo waxaan ayaan fahmi waayey why qofka bini'aadanku heede aanu marnaba bas waxaan fahamsanay dee qofka lagu soo barbaariyo waa maxaa ku day maskaxdooda waa la dhaqaylayno maskaxdooda wax lagu beeray soo maaha it's very hard
to change
to at least uncouple it maxaa ku day and I given this example many a times laakiin anigu marka maxaa ku day yarayno agtama my mom used to tell us oh if you leave the fridge door open it's going to explode like she was a bit of an extremist it's going to explode kulaha وقرحة يابي ورنجتي
كرنسة ilaalinaysa
of course that was her thing يد كرنسة ilaalinaysa de in fridge كنت to بيوبي نعيسدي marka inta la xido yeel no aan hayno daark soma
no but you're not alone
ila imika hede I still have discomfort seeing a fridge door open I know rationally inta qarxayn waan garanaya waan fahamsanahay but well wax la igu beeray weeyaan so it has this adverse reaction ma ku leeyahay for something that I wholeheartedly knew in baan hoo fahansanay intaanu fridge qarxayn I know this that's why it works that's why it works
no but is that bad or good well man
that's well no what's good all right and you can't kill an innocent person to prove a point to a guilty person. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get you, but I mean,
what I'm saying is the point is not bad. The end result is not bad. What you're trying to get accomplished is not bad. لكن إنها أدلة في ديسين لها أو لأورين لها هبي ودنا غلاسيركو كودلالي دونا كورنتدي بايا نجا إن استعمالها for no reason وحأدد كذا دعين لها هذا إلمي وفهمية لكن إلمي بلا دايل سنة يا ولا ليه هي he's too much of a kid to understand this, so we're just gonna make them afraid of not doing it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm against the method, Sahibo. I'm against that method. I don't want a bunch of zombies doing things because they're afraid. I want people to actually rationally understand why doing good is better in the long run. My fancy.
Okay, no man. What would you advise then, Wallah, as
That's what I'm saying.
Experience
right, this is what I'm so I wanted us to kind of how could I take a minute, okay, because how it's very in poignant because I wanted to share a little thing and we can talk throughout why no pause grandona but the thing is it's about the Milgram how could I the Milgram experiment or to how in a Milgram experiment
okay no yeah I think so wait
okay
okay yeah
so basically it's it was research that was done were German people are they all crazy people why did they let the Nazis do that somehow and the reason why a lot of the soldiers we were just following orders to give the accountability to the Kakasaraya and eventually to Hitler Somali markaasuu isweydiiyey they are all Germans crazy mise dadkao dhan baa iska caynkaasa so he did this experiment kii aad nala daawanaysay dee xaawa daawanaysay ma qof baa lagu odhanaya you're gonna give an electric shock to this other person the shocks were not real but laakiin qofku uu moodayay intay real ahaayeen marka qof kastaba they followed all the way to 65% of people dadka way dilayeen so qof caadi oo dariiqa ka soo baxay ayaa qof dili karaya lagu leeyahay nacam la soco soma fahmin marka waan isweydiiyey waxay aniguna experienceska waxaan uga helaa dadka nuqbadooday soo saartaa like the actual nucleus of the human being baanu aragnaa taasaan marka waxaan doonay intaan tan in la yar wadaago unless Bohole you have something to say brother you want to chime in
no walaan ku soco
okay so I want to share this video it's basically based on the Milgram Hakada experiment but lakin waana loo yar fasirayaa waxaa la leeyahay why question kale isweydiiyey waxa weeyaan why do we obey authority bal ila yar daawada waan inoo pause garan doonaa lakin ila yar daawada it's very anu aad baan uga helay
The first 500 people to use the link in the description will get a 2-month free trial. Let's start with the obvious. Bad things happen. When they do, it's often in our best interest to have an open discussion about why they happen. But some things are so bad that mainstream culture deems them unspeakable. These are the acts that you don't even want to imagine doing. They're the kind of acts that you probably don't believe you're capable of doing. These are the acts that we call evil. Like many people, you might think that evil emerges out of a psychopathic or sadistical nature, but unfortunately, this just isn't so. The world witnessed such acts during World War II and, more specifically, the Holocaust. When Adolf Eichmann, one of the main figures responsible for organizing the systematic killing of millions, was put on trial, he said that he was just following orders. This thought is frightening. This is the kind of statement that makes you rethink the idea of evil. It transforms evil from being the work of a small minority to a product of the vast majority. Perhaps evil is what happens when people stop thinking for themselves and just obey the orders of others. If so, the capacity for evil lies within all of us. This is the context in which Stanley Milgram conducted his renowned experiments on obedience. It's a chilling experiment that reminds us that with the ability for great good comes the ability for great evil. To really understand the Milgram experiments, it helps to split it up into two tests, the fake one and the real one. Let's start with the fake one. There are 3 participants, the experimenter, a teacher, and a learner. The subject that Milgram was studying was always given the role of teacher. The learner was an actor that was in on the experiment. The actual study was disguised as a fake study that was said to be testing the effects of punishment on learning. Specifically, they were testing the effects of administering electric shocks on a learner's ability to memorize a list of word pairs. For example, green flower or couch potato. The subject was tasked with teaching the learner this list. The subject would go through the list once and then read off one of the words in a pair. If the learner guessed the word correctly, the subject would move on to the next pair. But if they guessed incorrectly, the subject was supposed to administer an electric shock. Shocks went up in 15-volt increments all the way up until 450 volts. There were also corresponding labels indicating the intensity of shocks ranging from slight shock to simply XXX. The real test underlying this fake one was to see how far subjects would be willing to go in administering shocks before they stopped. At the shock level of 300 volts, the subject would hear the learner pounding on the wall and begin refusing to answer. A second pound was heard at 315 volts. This test was designed to put the subject in a tug-of-war between obeying their own morals and obeying an authority figure. If the subject began hesitating, the experimenter used 1 of 4 prods to get him to continue. They ranged in intensity from simple requests to orders. The results of the test were shocking. 65% of participants administered the maximum level of shocks. All participants obeyed until 300 volts. Various forms of Milgram's experiments have been replicated several times and continue to produce similar results, although modifying different conditions seems to produce varying levels of obedience. After going through a lot of the literature, the question isn't do we obey, but when and why. I think the best place to start is with Milgram's interpretation of the experiment, but before you can understand it, you have to understand his view of obedience as a natural phenomenon. Milgram believed that humans evolved the capacity to organize into social hierarchies because it was a huge survival advantage. Instead of competing as individuals, we could work together as a powerful group. In order to create these hierarchies, humans must be capable of giving up control to an external source. This could be another person or an idea. If 2 independent people give up control to a third person, the third person can coordinate the entire group. For example, imagine a group of cars giving up control to the commands of a traffic cop. By giving up their personal autonomy, traffic can flow in a more coordinated fashion. However, if they all act on their own, traffic will flow less efficiently and accidents are more likely to happen. There are social hierarchies all around you. When you enter a hierarchy, Milgram believed that you'd undergo a critical shift in mindset from that of an autonomous individual to that of an agent. When you enter a hierarchy and become an agent, you no longer feel responsible for your actions, but responsible to the one above you. This new mindset is known as the agentic state. To understand this state, it helps to separate it into a few components: the capacity for agency, why we become an agent, the features of an agent, and what keeps us from exiting the agentic state. Milgram argues that the agentic state has been socialized in us through family, school, and work because these environments value obedience, reward us for it, and punish us for disobedience. So why would you choose to become an agent? Imagine that you're taking part in this experiment. You walk into the room. What do? If you want the experiment to run effectively, you need to cooperate with the group. Recall that one of the most effective ways to coordinate a group is to designate a leader. Someone has to be in charge, right? Since this is a new hierarchy that you're entering into, you know that you're not in charge. You assign that role to the experimenter because you perceive them to be a legitimate authority. You willingly enter this hierarchy because it has a guiding ideology that you believe in and would be willing to further: progress and science. Lastly, the experimenter makes demands of you that are appropriate for the hierarchy that you're in. He makes demands with regards to the experiment and not unrelated things. He doesn't tell you what to eat for dinner. All of these factors combined allow you to willingly accept the role of an agent. Now that we have become an agent, what does this shift in mindset entail? When we are in the hierarchy, we tend to value the word of our superiors more than our inferiors. Continuing our example, you're not going to take advice from the learner on how to conduct the experiment. That's because you seem at an equal or lower position in the hierarchy. We also reinterpret our actions with regards to the mission of the hierarchy, for example, scientific progress. Keep in mind that we have willingly entered this hierarchy as an agent with a belief in its guiding mission.
Okay, I want to stop there for two reasons. First, to welcome Lucky to the channel. Hey, Lucky, how you doing?
Hello.
How are you? We missed you. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, and I also wanted to welcome Tukahamudu. So do Lucky. So ma. Mana maqasha Tukahamudu.
Yeah, one maqla. Sorry guys, on sir dahe, lakin I'm here.
وعادي ولكن سودو. So this experiment so ما waxaan isu soo waxay ka hadlayaan the adherence to science. Anu waxaan ku dari lahaa religion. So ma the religion. That's why you're maxaa ku daayay scholars keeni waxaan kaas dacamde loo xushmeeyayo looga dambeeyo loo daba fadhiistaa. We elevate them to that state. So what do you guys think so far? What you seeing? As to answer the question, why do we obey authority?
Can I speak?
Of course, go for it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people will obey because it takes away the responsibility. A lot of people find life too hard to live on their own accord. So if someone is guiding them and telling them what to do, especially people who need guidance, there's some people who crave guidance, they can't do anything on their own. If someone is there to tell them, they feel more comfortable. They don't have to think for themselves. They don't have to face the challenges alone because there's no challenge because you've just been told what to do. Right. So that's why a lot of Muslims, especially in the West, will stick to being Muslim because they're thinking without that authority, I have to decide things on my own decisions, and then I have to blame myself and then take accountability for my actions. That's too much.
It's just too much. Eh? Yeah. You have to, but you know, it's funny you say that because in this a couple of minutes left on this, they will go specifically into that, and the reason why people are afraid to rebel or to go against somebody. So let's just finish up with a couple of minutes, and then we'll come back and actually talk about it in depth.
This leads to the most important feature of being an agent. We no longer feel responsible for our actions, but responsible to carrying out the wishes of the one above us. But once we've entered the agentic state, what keeps us there? If we hear the pounding and feel we are doing something morally wrong, why can't we leave? Milgram's first reason is consistency. To admit that our current action is wrong would mean that we have to admit that all of our actions leading up to this point were wrong. This is a very tough pill to swallow, and most people would rather not do it. The second reason is that we feel an obligation.
Before we go to the second reason, what do you guys think of that first reason of consistency? imise qof baad aragteen oo markaad la hadlisiin aad tidhaahdii odhanaya ma aabayaasha iyo hooyooyinka iyo awowyaasha diintoodii baa diiday
maxay ahayd 1 billion miya ahaayeen intee weeye hadda 1 billion people miya been 2 billion people miya wada dhunsan camal ya
ka waran waa intaasoo dhan baad diidaysaa so consistencygii ayay qofkii diidayaa intuu jebiyo ayuu diidayaa I think we have our mindsets are made to just want to stay consistent. So that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons. The second reason name could get it done. I believe
obligation to the experimenter. We already made a commitment to help him and we want to uphold it. The third reason is that all participants entered and began this experiment under a specific situational definition. We acknowledged that the authority was legitimate, knew what he was doing, and deserved to be higher up in the hierarchy than us. Violating this or any socially agreed upon situational definition produces feelings of awkwardness and discomfort because we are disrupting the social order. Lastly, there are feelings of anxiety associated with disobeying an authority figure. We have been socialized to respect authority figures, and anticipating that we may have to disobey and disrupt the social order makes us anxious. But new studies shine light on different aspects of Milgram's studies. Some studies suggest something along the lines of a trusted expert that motivates subjects to continue obeying. They believe that they could trust that the scientist knew more about the experiment than they did, or that they could trust that a scientist would act responsibly. Based on an individual's life experience, these would be reasonable beliefs to hold. The experimenter had even told participants that the shocks are painful but not dangerous. So the real reason they continued was because they didn't believe that the learner was actually in any real danger. Other studies suggest that participants continued to obey because they believed that they were agents of a worthy ideology. Specifically, one study found that of the 4 prods that Milgram used, the one most resembling an order was the least effective, and the one most resembling an appeal to science was the most effective. In this case, it would seem that subjects are actually motivated by the belief that their actions are for the benefit of science. In both explanations, participants would believe that they were doing the right thing. Alternatively, some people believe that Milgram's experiments were nothing but theater and invalid as a scientific experiment. On the other hand, many believe that Milgram did stumble upon something significant, but there isn't universal agreement over exactly what that is. We can't make a jump from Milgram's results to explaining the actions of those involved in the Holocaust. The experiment itself was conducted in a lab setting, and so we have to be.
Anyway, so he goes into more in-depth in things, but did you guys have something in your mind saying that's exactly how it is in Islam? Marka trusted expert, qof baa kulay anaa garanaya waxa dhacaya marka dhimatid ka bacdo. All right, someone trusted expert. You don't want to how could I break the consistency? Hooyo, ya abo, ya awowo, they all Muslim bay ahaayeen. So madri. Did you guys see the same thing that I did?
I did, yeah. Like Malcolm Katus aniga.
Hi, get to go ahead.
Yeah. Well, watch this. It's a little bit more cynical.
Of course.
A little bit more cynical example. Look, when we absolve responsibility from ourselves, what does it result? Waxaad arkay a husband would batter his wife in the name of a particular verse. Somehow. Waxaad arkay a father would batter his child in the name of a hadith. Marka way jirtaa diinta dhexdeeda in the dumarka iyo caruurta in la garaaco in the name of religion, and he doesn't feel anything towards that. Xataa ma isku malayn oo qaldan yahay, bani'aadamnimadayna wax u geysaa ma maleeyo. Marka it's not just the soldiers iyo dadkii macnaha video ka hadlaya, we can see the effect xataa anaga in our daily lives. Ma fahanta walaal?
Absolutely.
Inta ugu dari lahayn.
Okay. No, that's very true, man. It's very true. But like Coco Jasmine said it right here, we need to remember the core concept of Islam being slave of Allah. And we hear, we obey. Oh, in the Quran, it's 33:36, right? Quran 33:36 says, "It is not fitting for a believer, man or woman, when a matter has been decided by Allah, that wasn't enough, and His Messenger, to have any option about their decision." It's directly in the Quran. waxaa lagu leeyahay mar wax la decide gareeyay nacam but waxaa lagu leeyahay Allah is all knowing, and yet He's doing decisions in front of us. So
Perino Mado, like really, a soldier, ninka or manaha Sarakisha, for example, waxaa laga yaabaa he may kill people, drop a bomb on houses in the name of manaha being patriotic, patriotism, mi fahante. So waxaan bini'aadanka ama ha laga dhaho waa patriotism ama ha la dhaho waa diin, I think people will always take advantage. Meel kasta way soo galayaan.
Warun. anigu hadda waxaan doonaya, I want to couple those two things. I want to say that whether it's a bad ideology or a deen, it's the same freaking thing.
Warun.
Man will always try and get more power. Some of it. Man will always just.
Nomad, can I ask you and wait.
Yeah, go for it.
3, 4, 5.
And the horseman,
5 of you.
Yes.
So there's Lucky, there's Dalmar, there's the other 2 that I know their pictures.
And Hawa. What's up?
The real niggas there. The real generals of this team there. There's Nomad, there's Dalmar, there's Lucky.
What's the question, though, little man, bro?
The question is this. The question is this. It's like, if we don't believe in this, and we each believe in what we believe in, I always ask myself, I don't know how long I've got to go, but species-wise, women last longer than men.
Okay.
Like, I've tried to find out scientifically or what cultures live the best, or what cultures eat the best. That's what I've been personally doing as a Somali man. So I've been born in Somali, but now I'm forced to find out who lives the best, what do they do, what do you really want out of life, and as a person there,
that's good. Well, first and foremost, I know how the first task at hand, in terms of bulshada Somaliyed, anigu saan u arkayo at least, is to get educated. A lot of us, when we get
Educated
educated,
meaning what? Because you know, educated means a lot to others. Some
yeah, I'll
people
explain.
think they're educated by reading the Quran. You know that?
Yeah, no, I'll explain. I'll explain. How could I? That's educated means, it does not mean being told what to think. And Quran I'm sorry, but it's indoctrination way, and you're not really getting educated. You're getting indoctrinated. Waa laba wax oo kala duwan weeyaan. Education is to learn the skills you need to have critical thought. Ma fahanti? It's not to educated does not mean I know that 2 + 2 is 4. That's not an education. To be educated is to know why 2 + 2 is 4. Ma
There's
fahanti?
there's one thing I want to add about
Go for
critical
it.
thinking. The thing is, critical thinking is something you develop as you go on over the years, but you can get stunted. You can become someone individual that will go on, get a degree, go into their 30s, their 40s, and not have any critical thinking because you have been stunted and you have been forced not to use it. And I believe there's a point where critical thinking can be lost, where you have completely
Okay.
been brainwashed or indoctrinated and you can't get out of it because it's something that you've been doing for so long. Imagine you're doing it since you're 5 and you're still doing it at 25. There's so many years lost. How do you jump into critical thinking at that point and gain all
So
those
that,
skills?
that speaks to the consistency that we were just seeing in the video. Is it because you don't want to break the chain of consistency, or because you don't even know how to? Like,
You don't
it's a
have
good
to.
point you made.
You haven't gained the
Okay.
skill. So a lot of people in Somalia, there are places like my family, me, they're like from nowhere's land. Like they are taught. A man comes, he teaches them something, and that is the word. So they learn the Quran that way, and then they don't even learn. Some of them don't even know how to write or read because they're busy working on the farms. But they're living a whole ideology based on just word of mouth, and a lot of Somalis live on word of mouth. And then you're telling them you go to the city, get educated, and start thinking correctly, and that's not going to work. They will go to the West with their no critical thinking and somehow function through life and make bad financial decisions and decisions in all aspects of their lives with no critical thinking because they have been raised to be like that, which is hard to think because I have a lot of family members like this where you're thinking,
Right.
how did you come up with this decision? Did you not think? And at some point I'm thinking to myself, they didn't think because they don't talk to think.
That's it. So you're saying that thinking is actually a muscle that needs to be developed,
It
and
needs to be developed. You could stunt it. It's like mental health. The certain
No,
I
it's not
wouldn't say
your body
trauma.
there. No,
There's certain
your brain.
your brain can change when you get as a child, like
Right.
a 5-year-old, you experience trauma, your brain can change, and you're now in your life function in a it can be fixed or you have to train that muscle, like you said, or you keep going with that
No,
same
no,
mentality, and then
say that
you
again,
have a
like because
generation.
he was in the Matrix.
Yeah, yeah. You
Sorry.
cut out for a little bit. Say the last 5
Oh, my
seconds
bad.
again.
What about now?
Yeah, no problem. That's good.
No,
That's
yeah,
good.
you're
We
I
can.
better
said
now. You're much better.
let's say you experience trauma. A lot of people say when you experience trauma as a young age, your brain actually changes. There's a way that they calculate psychopaths, like people who've had experienced bad things in their childhood, and they can determine even through scans. But like, I wouldn't say critical thinking fucks up your brain to the point if you don't have it. But at some point, it's too hard to train someone into thinking in a whole different light. Some people way of thinking to the way we're thinking, what we've achieved like of critical thinking is something someone will never achieve because they are stuck in their
Okay.
ways. They're in an environment that feeds that as well. So the whole
Okay.
environment change for that person.
That makes perfect sense
At
to
the
me.
bro, you know
Yes.
what Lucky's saying? There is actually recent evidence produced stating that there's a very strong correlation or negative relationship between intelligence and like being religious, basically. So I'm gonna maybe put that to the back chat, and it's quite an interesting study done.
Okay. 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 So that's good. That's a good point, Lucky. I think I completely agree with you. How?
I like everything and I agree with everything Lucky said. I have a question though. Like, I understand everything that has been said so far, but how do we break that? How do we break that habit? You know, like we have young siblings that we see our moms are giving them exactly what Lucky was saying. You know, they preventing them from being themselves, from being like thinkers critically and all that. Like the kid has a question and the mom will tell them not to ask that question, not to think. And for adiga taada la yaban ada baqsan, you know, because if you tell your mom, hoya wiilka saas ha oran, let him think, she will think gal ina tahay adiga laftirkaaga. So you're hiding yourself. So you don't have a choice, because in a way you don't want the eyes on you, you know. So how do we break that? So my question is, how do we help young generations or kids, like kids as young as like 10 years old? Because this always breaks my heart. How do we manage not to make our families give that same problems to the growing children? Like
with the fact that we live in the West is what we have, unfortunately, on our side, because we live way more different experiences because we live in the West. There's way more challenges, different jobs, different environments, meeting people who are homosexual, meeting people who have different religions. We have to think differently compared to our family back home. They are in an environment that stayed the same for years and years on end. Some people live in the same environment, it hasn't changed, some towns, but when it comes to the West, our siblings, they could be told whatever they want by our parents, but at one point they will go to a work environment and they will be challenged, critically challenged with their thinking, because their environment is completely different. Whatever they've been taught is not going to save them in the situations they're in, and they're going to either have to adjust, or sadly, you do find a lot of people, do you know the ones that become terrorists? They become terrorists in the West because they have now been challenged so far in their way of thinking. They're thinking, nope, this can't work, and then they get resentment to the area that they're in. Or some of them learn to adapt. So it's the sad
That's
thing.
actually the first step, Lucky. That's a very good
Yeah.
point. That's actually the first step to make them hate where they're from, which is the
Yeah.
West. Yeah. No, absolutely. That's very true. I want to share the thing that you sent Buholis Finest. You said meta-analysis of 83 studies produces very strong, in quotation mark, evidence for a negative relationship between intelligence and religiosity. You want to explain that?
So what Lucky was saying, there's actually scientific backing to what she was saying, but it's still in its earliest testing, but they only tested in the West, but they think they want to put an MRI on the brain itself. The brain when somebody's extremely religious.
Right, but Buhole, there are neurosurgeons that are Muslim.
It's true. It's true. Like what they do is they compartmentalize. It's not the same thing.
So cognitive dissonance is the strongest amongst them, is what you're saying, essentially.
So they put the deen in one box and they put other things, but if you put it together, then what live makas?
Okay. So because marka laga hadlo intelligence correct, so it gets very dicey very quick, at least for me. So marka waxaan u baahanahay a lot of metadata, a lot of meta-analysis.
That's why I said it's in its earliest testing.
It's in its earliest stages.
Can I just hit on something that Lucky said? I kind of agree and I kind of disagree with what she said. Not disagree, so that's the wrong word. I mean, I see it from a different perspective.
Got it.
Lucky, what I would say to you is, you said we're very different in the West, but again, I think gurigena anagu daacadnimada way nagu yar tahay. You know what I mean? We live in a fear-based Somali society. The religion that we were brought up on is based on fear. Siyasada Somali is based on fear. Parenting and parenthood is based on fear. The way a husband and a wife lives together in our society is based on fear. Marka, if someone says, how could we change it? I think that's the first thing we need to tackle, which is absent within our own gurigena. We can't be honest about anything, in my opinion.
That's true. That's true, but that's because it works.
Lamar, can I ask you a question, please?
Of course, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, in your household, with your mom and dad, did you feel fear?
I'm sorry?
No, did you ever feel fear as growing up?
Well, the only fear that I felt, Anugu Hawayan, it's the, I can't say it was fear. It was a bit of because Anugu was really good. محلي معلم محل ماشي malعمد اللي ينسان malعمد اللي so just imagine young new nomad malعمد اللي أبي هو يحدي إنك وين القرآن كبرته malعمد اللي ayaantii igu horeysay anigu saaqidaan oo seexday ba. So I was sleeping because this guy was talking some nonsense.
Yeah.
Oo seexday. So I wasn't taking them seriously because in my household, what was encouraged was conversation, discussion. So Abo, he didn't really think it through because he raised me to question things, question him, but then he put me in a place with where some dude with a big, a black dot on his forehead is talking shit to me. So he didn't really think about his tough height. I didn't last 2 days near Ho. I didn't last 2 days because
How old you see that? About 15?
no, man, I was like maybe 10, 11.
You
Yeah,
smart.
I think when it comes to the finest, what we were saying, because for me, what I said seems like there's no solution because I'm basically basing it on, well, they're fucked anyway, so that's the end of that. But there is a
No,
way.
lucky that's
There is a way to sort it out. I got a solution. Don't worry.
You made me laugh. Hey,
But
because
I think personally, the hardest thing to do to fix the situation is basically set yourself as an example. If you're a sibling in the household, live according to the way you want to live and speak openly about what you think and critically about what you think. And when you watch the TV, because I argue with my family a lot about Israel and Palestine and stuff like that, because they say a lot of things that's just based on the religion, just baseless, no critical thinking, and then I would try to challenge it. Even though I'll be looked at as a crazy person, that will still echo. That will still echo in the house. That the fact that someone says something different. So if people are more willing, the ones who are ex-Muslim or the ones who have left the deen, are more willing to show as an example, and not obviously it's a big thing to do. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. It depends on what kind of family you're from. But if you're able to do it and live an example, that someone who has doubts or someone who is hoping to think the way you're thinking will see you and try to do the similar thing.
Right.
I think for me, especially as a girl, it's the hardest thing to do because you kind of get demonized. So a lot of people, they will be too afraid, like you said, that like Howell was saying, like if you start saying certain things, you'll be demonized. But that's a challenge that we have to face as well. The fact that we should stop caring about being demonized. We have to just keep going.
So I have Boholi, you want to say something, bro?
Yeah, the sad thing is, I don't want to present this as black and white. The sad thing is, even though we kind of have this fear, our parents also have fear. You know, waxay ka cabsanayaan wadaadada, waxay ka cabsanayaan other women, waxay ka cabsanayaan other
social
society.
construct.
Wallah, it's so true. Wallah, it's so true.
Yes, it's like it's a hierarchy.
Now they used to always say, yeah, a weird kid, he can read all the Quran. Look at him, like he can do it.
Oh, kufana, because
no, but they don't care about themselves. Wallahi, they don't care about the kids. You know, they care about look what my kid can do. He's such a, and I used to be like, fuck all of that.
Yeah, no, I mean it is there is a social contract that happens whenever you're in a specific community, and community guys, there's a contract, and that people think that there's this thing they have to adhere to. Like the winners the winners of Quran recitations
are Somalis.
Are often Somalis.
Why?
Somali kids
Why
win.
go on? Why go
on? Because right now, unfortunately, this is what we're keeping up as a measure of accomplishment.
Because we know Gabi is normally our thing is Gabi.
We got to bring it back to that.
Where's it come from? It's like Gabi.
We got to bring it back to that because we've been.
What's your tribe?
Oh yeah,
that we know all the names and all the. Like we know our
right. No, I understand. It's just because this is what's being upheld as the elite, as the utmost important thing. So go ahead. Look, you want to say something? So
I was saying, I think a lot of people, like in the UK, a lot of people will hype up Somalis. Like Somalis are so religious. Somalis do this. Somalis do that. They're the best Muslims. But I've clocked why. Pakistan, Afghanistan,
you're right.
People are very different from each other. Those nations are different from us. As a Somali community, we all kind of went through the similar thing, a big uproot at a certain point. Every family faces the same challenges, poverty, sending money back home. We're so similar to each other, every household, that everyone wants to follow the same narrative and not fall out of it. So that's the challenge facing Somalis compared to other nations.
Right. And now that I have Hawa and yourself on the panel, I'm actually working on a little theory that I want to kind of bounce off of you guys. Why is it even in the Quran hadith like the scholars themselves that are quiet يمكن نجس Africa تجنوا they're super quiet if there's a bombing that happens in Mogadishu, if there's a they're super quiet about it, they don't say anything about it, right? But the second a woman dares to go outside with no hijab, they're all up in arms. You understand what I'm saying? A little girl dancing on TikTok means more to the sheikhs in Somalia than the fuckery is happening in Somalia itself. And let me finish though, little man, please. The theory that I have, and that I wanna see what you guys think is, religions oftentimes I believe religions are man-made. They're made by men and it's for men, right? And a woman would very quickly call out the bullshit. Very quickly. So when your whole morality, right? Your whole morality is based on you taking this on. And if you dare question it in a Heblaye, right? If you dare question it, you're the one that's in the wrong. And this and that. And so they trample on women because I think women are the very best position. Women, because they see that there isn't a lot for them in this thing, but also, and children just because they're innocent and they're like, well, who created God? But like women will very easily call out the BS in religion, and that's the reason why they're held with the scholars hold their knees on the women's necks. What do you guys think? Lucky Yahawa, what do you guys think?
Can I go Lucky first, Nani?
Go ahead.
Okay, I feel like for me, the concept of sharafta, it comes down to that. Wiil hadduu wax khalada sameeyo reerkiisa wax ceeba uma keenayo soo maha, but just because you're gabar, and let's all be honest, because you have that thing, it brings all the like toxics in people, like just because we have different genders, you feel like my gender and what's under my pants shows how much of a man, how much of a father you are based on how I act. Does that make sense? Like gabar hadday hadda even for example like a rape victim, gabaraa la xoogay waxaa ku dhacay wadankeena, reerkii iyagii baa xishoonaya. Instead of standing up for the girl, iyagii baa xishoonaya, iyagii baa waxay isleeyihiin sharaftiinii waa baaba'day. Laakiin wiil hadduu gabar soo xumeeyo, waxaa la siinayaa reerkaa lacag la siinayaa ama waa la wada fadhiisanaya, waa la wada hadlayaa, laakiin there is a problem, let's fix it. But once it is a girl, it's just like they feel threatened. Men in our society feel threatened by women's independence and how women act and how women dress. They feel threatened because they feel like they're not man enough. They couldn't control you. Aabaha waaye, aabaha hadalkiisa maqli weeday. Therefore, aabaha reerkii iyo communitygii waxay u arkayaan ninaan waxba ahayn dee gabadhiisu ka adkaan waaye, yuu ka adkaanaya. I feel like that's what it is for me.
marka scholarska haddaan ka hadalno scholarska markay hadlayaan gabdhaha ay odhanayaan adigoo madaxa qaawanaa bixin all the BS they spew.
Yeah.
My question is, do you think that they're keeping their knees on the necks of women because women are the best position to call the BS out? Now I'm doing bullshit Arkansas.
Yeah.
Well, question like ninka maxaa loogu ogolaaday afar dumar oo gabadha loogu ogolaan waayey afar nin? I mean, like we can go down that rabbit hole, but you know what I'm saying? Like women will ask questions because marka laga hadlayo jannada, I'm sorry, but how would waxba kama horeeyaan walaalo.
Yeah.
Jannadan ay sheegayeen nin baa loogu talagalay. Waliba nin quraata maaha, waa nin dagaaltamaya loogu talagalay. Nin waxaa loogu talagalay that's going into war, that needs to feel like he's going into war, and even if he dies, he's going to somewhere better than where he is.
Yeah.
So
I think I get you. I think I will agree with that in a way. I don't really think nimankan sheikhiyada they are that smart to think that way, but I could see the point because women hold so much power. Hooyooyinkeena, just half of hooyooyinkeena hadday even gaalanimo iska daaya open-minded Muslim ahaan lahaayeen, our whole life will be different. So maha, because hooyooyinka Soomaalida waa hooyooyin very strong ah. Nin agtooda ma ka hadli karo. Hadday hooyada strong tahay, wariyaa ilmahayga afaarahooda ka baxay dhahaysa. Like they get divorced just for their children not to be abused, like some moms,
Exactly.
So imagine these moms being very open-minded, knowing their rights, knowing their child's rights. Like that's maxaa dhahay islaamka uu baaba'aya markii hooyooyinka maskaxdooda furan for me. So obviously they want to keep them, they want to keep them in the house, in the kitchen, like listen to the man. diinta dhanaaba waxay tahay naag hala controlo. So obviously they're going to practice what they believe in and what their God said.
Absolutely. That's very good. Lucky, you want to take a stab at it? Because what I'm trying to say, and there's a vested interest for scholars to keep women down. What do you think, Lucky?
I mean, like Jasmine and Howard took up a narrative that I don't never really think about as much, because I never think about if a woman does this and does that, it reflects on the man. I think it's because I guess there's not many men in my household. Whereas for me, I personally believe, like she was completely right, but for me, I personally believe, like a nomad is saying, without a woman raising the children, obeying the husband, and giving birth to more Muslims, everything would collapse. And that's why women have to be talked down so much. And some scholars would even say women don't think as critically as men. They don't have the same kind of brain capacity. They try to completely shut down women, because if a woman actually took the narrative for herself and jumped out of this, the whole thing would collapse. And especially in the modern world now, where women can't be caged like they used to. They can't be treated like second-class citizens. Women have more rights now. They need to force that image more. And that's why I find it so shocking why there's still Muslim women, like still Somali women Muslim. It just shocks me that some of them still rationalize after seeing what their mothers have done and their mothers being so independent, being in this religion. It just, that part still tricks me. I still don't understand how a modern woman who's had education is still a Muslim. That baffles me.
So do you think it's an education thing then?
It doesn't, because education hasn't fixed anything. You could go all the way, you can become a doctor, you can become a lawyer, have all this critical thinking and still be a Muslim, because fear is just based on fear.
So fear is a more powerful drug than any kind of
because a woman will be demonized. A woman's reputation is everything. She wants to have children, she wants to marry a Somali man, a Muslim man, and she won't be able to do that when she tries to get out the box, because like 90% of men wouldn't want to marry her now. She'll be deemed as the crazy one who thinks for herself and does this and does that. So if she wants to still be in the community, she has to abide. Who knows if some of them are abiding just for that reason, or who knows if some of them are abiding because they genuinely believe it. I feel like those lines get blurred a lot. Are you believing just because you don't want to fall out the fold, or are you actually a Muslim?
I was that's a good point, Lucky. And Hamza is making me like, he said Jannah is the ultimate Playboy mansion. It's really not for women.
I mean, they did say most women are going to end up in hell, and it's so funny how in heaven, not only can you have like virgins, you're gonna have like endless, you can have 72 virgins, but like you can also take women out of hell. You can be like, hey, I don't have enough in Jannah. Kuwa hell so sorry, like what? Like what kind of loophole?
Let me go to hell and help
Let me go
you.
save someone from hell. I'm like, how? Who even wrote this? How
but look at Coach Jazzy. She said Quran doesn't even address women directly. It always says your women, what they should do. Directly. He's too good to talk directly to women. You want to Nicola do this with your women. Go ahead.
You know what I feel like? I feel like it's an issue of authority as well. Theoryga daawanayna hadda waxa ku jiray wax oo la yiraahday dadka at some point they stopped answering the questions. ما فهمي. Like su'aalaha la weydiinaya, at some point they stopped questioning because they couldn't anymore. Somehow I feel like that's how it is with women. Hadda waa dhihi kartaa مثلا gabadha weydiinaysa ninka maxaa afar naag lagu ogolaaday, she gonna say ilaahay baa u ogolaaday laakiin se afar naag hal mar ma wada guursan karo. Waa inuu, she will go on and on like justifying it somehow. Laakiin once you say how do you feel about it, forget about everything. Adiga gabar ahaan mataqaanay, how do you feel ninkaaga hadduu naag kala guursado? Do you feel it's fair inuu ilaahay saas dhaho? Su-aasha hataa directly saa u weydiisid, because I've done it. Do you think it's fair? Forget about the reasons, forget about all of that. Do you think it's fair? Waxay ku leedahay ma ka jawaabi karo. So that's where it stops. You know, women will go educate themselves, like get their rights and everything, but at some point, sheekada ilaahay aa soo dhexgelaysa. At some point, there's that authority issue where they feel like, no, I can't go above this. You know, I could get my rights like up to this level. You know, maybe 7 out of 10. but I can't go above that because then that means you become like, I know you're lucky, you know, like you're like, fuck this.
Exactly.
So it's an issue with authority and fear and everything.
Okay, that's lucky that you had to go. Thank you for being with us. حاول انت كويس هاد سامي حضرت لنا اللي جوكتي هيد وحي كسو قرتي I'm ex-Muslim and I live in fear in my own family house with my parents. وقبل وين اللي جوكتي هيد حضرت له خطا كان حماده هذا ممكن دبي بحثي. So she's saying she's an ex-Muslim and she lives in fear in her own family's home. مركا قبل رأيت معها ولا شيء محن كل تلي هين.
For me, I feel like no matter I will tell Sammy reerkayga lama degani ani hadda guriga markaa tago I'm still in fear anoona la deganayn oo mataqaanaa soo booqda isbuucii ama bishii hal mar I'm still in fear because it's not easy being a woman in a Somali household marka I will if she's in the West or if she's in a place where she could get independent I will highly advise her to move out and obviously not move out right now, but like have a plan, save money. Yeah, have a plan, do it safely and move out. That's what I will advise every Somali girl that Muslim or not, if you are suffering at home and you are of an age to be able to move out, move out. That's the only way to free yourself or at least have a plan to move out. And until then, try different ways to take care of your mental health. Anagana lahadal dadka online ka lahadal to like vent and all that is really hard, but you make it as long as you have a plan and I wouldn't advise anyone. Waxa reerkaaga ku dhahayaan ha dhagaysan. Just tell them, just tell them to leave you alone. Waxaas because tomorrow they could kick you out. They could kill you. I don't know your situation. So definitely have a plan to move out. That's the only way with these families. Trust me.
That's it. إنه كلنا والله سكوب باهظة بري بيجي أنا كلي أنا سمودي أنا وحان هلا had like دل مراكلة هو اسمه كلي سمودي. So like we were all at one point feeling very isolated.
Yeah.
So Sammy Walalo, thank you for coming to the show earlier. But follow us on Instagram and like you can shoot me a message anytime. Why not? Why not? We have to take care of our own.
If she has a Discord, I would like to be friends with you, Sammy. If you have a Discord, we could just chit chat and help each other. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Muhammad Awara said that's the best advice. And that is because that kini mata waxaan ku jirna xawa hade we're at a crossroad ma ka filayaan waayo dad badan oo wax bartay waan nahay dad markan westgate manida indhaha dadka oo furmay waxaan u aragnay dadnimadeeni waan dib u soo ceshino waayo dad waxaan arkaynaa intay anigu waxaan u arkay at least I'm going to speak for myself Islamku waxaan u arkaa dad caraba oo doonaya dadnimadooda dunida laga yaqaano that's all it is the Islam it comes from the Arabs right so
no,
that was just
like Arab many.
I never said that, man. You know better than that.
Sorry.
Yeah, so but yeah, but so Bohole, what would you advise in Sammy Okare?
I would say the same thing that Howard said. Like waxaan ku diri lahay, which is also quite important, is we don't feel the pressure and we take our time when we make decisions. Ku degdegin macnaha decision-ka and macnaha in less sudden pressure and to get or to seek help as much as you can. Like there's no waxa lagu degdegade ma fiicna ma garata marka just take your time and everything should be okay.
Absolutely. Well, guess what, guys? I want so gabagabin already. But I think anigu waxaan doonay intaan uga hadlayn subject matter kan hadde dad badan baa maskaxda laga haystaa oo dad Kenya oo kolkol u aragta ma so funny because I have this friend of mine Somali is super religious or at least he likes to pretend he is, let's say that. أنا كيقان دينتي لكن هيسو شن سنت قولن tukada like a loyal soldier. Markas هكذا feeling كافة so داونيني like the latest Marvel like Eternals or whatever Marvel movie as down okay I just whisper in his ear right before the movie starts. This used to be someone's religion at one point, and now we're watching it as a movie. Okay, fuck you.
Well, mythology ده waxaad
It's
sheegaysaa
mythology, and that's exactly what this is. Like Quran is a reflection of the Coco said it right here. Quran is a reflection of the 7th century society, and that's why it is misogynistic and sexist. And that book still being used as a guide, it's just only gonna perpetuate that misogyny and sexism somehow. أظن waxaa tiri buhol beautified for people is the love of that which they desire of women and sons, heaped up sums of gold and silver, fine branded horses and cattle in tilted land. That is the enjoyment of life.
I didn't say I didn't say waa quraanka wey waa aayad fiiriya waxaan leedahay Coco Jasmine waxaan tusayay the very beautify for people xataa lalama hadlayo dumarka. You see, people doesn't include women. People means men. Because
so true.
Because it says which they desire, which is women. So it's not talking to women. This is what garanaysa saaxiibteen Asma Osman.
Yes, Asma Osman, yeah.
Waxa days ayadaas waxay ku tusay macnaha women can also desire women. Women are part of people somehow.
Exactly, they don't read it like that.
Yeah, Dida. So she had a great point that day. But yeah, you're right, man. You're right.
Yeah. So anigu marka my meaning of maxaa talking about scholars today was to basically dadka intaan ku yiraahdo there's a reason why you're doing this, there's a reason how do fadhiisanaysiin dadka imise qof baa intay ku yimaadeen what you say about Islam markaas ka hornasa hayida let's just talk. Suurada caynkaas waxay tiri you have to qofka waa inaad saysa ku samaysid. I don't know, man, go talk to a scholar. The محل سو بودبودس هذا أيضا أورنسا. Why were you coming to me like you knew something, and when I ask you a simple question, قف كلا دي درسا. Like it doesn't. I just want to show the.
Go to my man. Go to my man. I don't know.
You know what I'm saying?
Why act like you know then?
Exactly. It's like you're in construction,
what are you offended
right?
about Horta? What are you offended about Horta? Like, do you ever question him? What are you offended about?
Okay, so I'll give you guys an analogy that maybe everybody can understand. Have you ever seen, like, if you're at the gym, right? You're at the gym and there's you're doing something, and imagine you always see some guy going over to another guy and say, "Oh, this is actually how you do it. This is actually," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like going up to someone while they're doing an exercise. Hey, that's not the right way to do this exercise. Hey, so how should I do it? According, go talk to the
trainer.
Go talk to the trainer. Why are you talking to me?
I don't know.
That's how ridiculous it is in my mind, Neho.
No way. Why asking me? Go to the trainer.
Yeah, like
why
as
did you stop me, motherfucker?
like you didn't just come up to me and interrupt me. You know what I mean? What the hell?
Yeah, why you talking to me if you don't even know? Let me do it wrong. You didn't even know if it's wrong or right.
Goodness. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing. And the other thing, to Sammy, join us on the Discord as well. Follow me on the Instagram, and I'll give you all the information, Sammy. There's many platforms of there's many communities of ex-Muslim. Somali a lot of times when I'm having these conversations in Clubhouse, I had because
are you talking about what's the other thing called again?
Clubhouse.
Oh my God.
Clubhouse.
They lay you out. They lay you out.
No, but it's not even about that. It's about you just talking to people. Yo, this is not what it is. It says this, and this. So the whole concept of the scholars.
Nah, it's freshies, little kids, everything together.
It can be anyone. It can be honestly.
Everyone.
How? Dadka sa jooga meesha. Laakiin waxa aniga iga yaabiyo waxa weeyaan I was in this room in Clubhouse. waan ku bilaabay head streamka, and I was telling this dude, yo, did Quraanku sidan saas u leeyahay. Waa naga tag, you're Islamophobe. Waa gaal baatay, waa ka baxday, maxaad uga hadlaysaa Quraanka? Nadaaf.
I love them. I love them. They're cute.
Not even.
Them ones are cute.
Yeah, not even 2 minutes later, there was a guy that came in that he recognizes as a sheikh. So markaasan su'aashu weydiiyey, sheekhow bal u sheeg Quraanku muxuu ka sheegaya? And the sheikh literally repeated what I had said, and the guy took it. My mind exploded.
Ridicule.
But I said this thing, and the sheikh said this thing. We both said the same thing. Like in sheikh ka qaatay, anigana gaal buu yiri. You understand? us presenting the same information. Anyways, that's the reason why. But like, look, that's what I wanted to kind of talk about this. In so in
Is that I have a quick question? Is that where Dalmar is? Sawirkiisa u jeedaa
Dalmar wuxuu ka dagaaltamaya Clubhouse right now.
No, Dalmar, we're finding it. Dalmar, I beg you speak one time.
Yeah.
Don't let us hanging. Come on.
Yeah, no. It's okay. It's
No,
okay.
on this one channel. Quickly there.
No, but I don't think he can hear you, is what I'm trying to tell you, Lola, man.
Shit. Where is he?
He's actually, I'm looking at the room right now. So he's in this other room in Clubhouse. But like he came at first
the internet is so fucked up. Wallahi, the internet is so fucked up. We're all around the world, bro.
Bro, we're everywhere.
I don't know where you are. I don't know where this nigga is. You know where he is, but you're not together. You're not even in the same country. But you know where he is.
Yeah,
doesn't make sense. Doesn't even make sense no more.
So exactly. So at the end of
It
the day,
doesn't even make sense.
It makes a lot. It makes.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, you're not in the same country, but you have the same interest, so you're in the same mind.
So that's what's gonna happen.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Trying to get there.
Yeah.
Trying to keep up.
Yeah. So that's what's gonna happen in the 21st century. People are gonna rally around ideas. The Somali ex-Muslim community dad badan, and I'm not going to speak for all of them, the ones that I came in contact with, there's none of that BS.
You have to. It's natural. Like, to be honest, when you become this, like, you become conscious in it as a Somali.
Exactly. And
you go above that naturally. Because, like, what do you mean? Nomad's a sick guy. Him.
Yeah.
I know Nomad. I don't know about it's like this, that, but I don't care.
Yeah, that don't make that. Yeah, that don't even make sense.
I am above that, and Nomad's above that, and we understand this. Does he understand me on this? That's what it comes to.
That's
Nomad maybe is above that even.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm trying to level up. I'm trying to be
absolutely, no. That's the best way to do it, man. But I want you to kind of close it out for us, and then how
please,
what do you got to say about scholars and
I would just say, just listen to these guys. I'll tune in as much as I can. I'll support as much as I can. I'm gonna try to bring out my own music here. Like, I'll be saying Nomad for too long. But anyway, it comes when it comes, innit?
No, absolutely.
But I believe in this. I believe in Somali anymore. I believe in us coming together again and understanding something better than this. One day I'm gonna go in the grave, but that doesn't mean I'm going in the grave. It's my vehicle, my body, whatever you wanna call it. You get it? But Somali anymore is somewhere inside, somewhere, and it means more. And I just want to help younger Somali guys come up better than me. You hear me? It's not about me. It's just adding on. That's, I think, learning, adding on. That's what I think.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Little Man, for joining us today as well. Bohala, you put something in the back chat. Did you want to say something about that?
Yeah. I don't know if you heard of this channel called Koritan. So it's like, nin Somali, and really good channel. waxyaabo ka hadla horta waa nin Muslim, laakiin waa nin macquul. At least he encourages critical thinking. wuxuu ka hadlaa dhibaatooyinka bulshada. So at least حتى if waalidkan our community are not willing to accept waxaan u sheegayna, at least ha arkaan qof ayaga luqadooda qof la mid qof حتى bridge the gap, ma garate?
Right.
So that's why I put it into the back chat.
That's very true. Okay, so you know what I'm gonna do? How about you share it in the? Actually, I'll do it. I'm right here. I'll do it. I'll share it in the comments so that everybody can actually see it.
Yeah, have a look at it. He's really good. nin aad iyo aad u wanaagsan. habeen hore wuxuu ku jiray Clubhouse-ka. wuxuu ku jiray baraaruga bulshada miya?
Baraaruga bulshada,
he gave an amazing talk on the Somalida iyo dhibaatada in terms of fear iyo sida cunaqabataynka ilmaheena ku hayno. So I really loved it, man. And I checked some of his material on YouTube. I think waalidkeena ma diidayaan qofkaas kale. waa qof ayagu eg.
waa macquul,
waa qof Muslim, like diinta kama hadlo. You see?
Okay. So dadka waa inaan usoo furfurnayna maskaxda si kale loo
maskaxda laakiin ku dhahday qofkan ex Muslim ka dhageysada ku dhahday
Can you send it to the back chat?
Yeah, he sent it to the back check, and I just posted it here as well. I
Rally
posted it
Hallelujah.
here as well. So
Yeah.
okay, so what are your last words, Buhol's finest?
My last words, Wahid Awdart, we spoke about, I told you, you call them scholars, I call them the clergy, the clerics.
That's it.
Waxa weeyaan the gatekeepers of knowledge si loo yaqaano. Point number 2, I was going to add that I didn't really get a chance, the connection between the scholars and the women. What if the women and the hawada ka baxaan? Who's going to fund their salary? Who's going to fund the mosque?
That's so true. That's so true.
Who's going to fund the mosque?
How? That's another thing that we gotta talk about.
Wallahi, it's very true. Hooyada intaa wax lee ururinaysaa baa ku iraahday like
How
somebody dies, masjidaa la dhisayaa, dugsi baa la furayaa. You're right, Buhole.
waxaan arkay wadaadada iyagu dumarkii ka furfurtay jijimihii iyo katiinadii.
Yeah, it's sad, but yeah, that's the reality.
waxaan iri eedoy katiinadaas intee u wadaa, jijimahaas intee u wadaa, where are you taking it? Waxay tiri ilaahay baa guriga dhisaya jannada miifan, that's where I'm taking it. So hatta you need to understand the level of control in laga qaadan karo your own gold. That's very problematic miifan. Ina adiga naftaada dhan macnaha ag dhigtid. And the last point I was going to mention was 3 things. Inaan ka baxno cabsidan iyo despair. Number 2, inaan sameyno more organic conversation. Ethan ugu dambeysana that we get educated in waxyaabahan ku baraarugno miifan. Intaas waa ka baxaya.
Thank you so much, Buholde, man. Always a pleasure to have you here, Sahib. How? No so gabi wala shay.
Aniga, for me, waxaan leeyahay, and I agree with Buhole and all of you, but waxaan leeyahay, for me, we need tolerance. Ina dadkeenan mataqaanay diinta ka baxay ama Muslim, progressive Muslim we need to tolerate dadka oo weli hadda sheekhyada dhegeysanaya. Haddaa mataqaanay dhahdid waryaa waxaan ninkan maxaa u dhegeysanaysaa, muxuu ninkan kuugu fakerayaa, cidna ma ku maqlayso. So dadka hadalka u yaryaray meelo kale kasoo galgal, be supper hayso, and then at some point we will be able to have conversations even if we don't all agree. I feel like tolerating each other, even though they don't tolerate us, but we should tolerate them. That's 1. Number 2, dadkan oo muslimiinta oo sheekhyada dhegeysanaya waxaan leeyahay, listen to yourself, you know. Quraanka hadday xataa aadan hadda Soomaalidayna badanka meelahan jooga wax way akhrin yaqaanaan soo maha. So haddaad xataa Carabi aadan aqoon, English version soo qaado, Somali version soo qaado, bal waxaan adi akhri, and in your right mind, bal question waxaan hal kelmadaan akhriyay seeba anuu si u fahmay, sheekhaasna uu rabaa si kale inuu ii fahansiiyo. Then you're going to see the problem because you're reading the same thing. This man is reading the same verse you are reading. There's no need for him to tell you different meanings, different tafsir iyo waxaas. Basically, it's the same sentence. So don't just be a sheep, you know, like you have a mind. Haddaa ilaahay aaminsan tahay xataa maskaxdu ku siiye, maskaxdaanu ilaahay ku siiye, adi ku fakar. Qof kale ha u dhiibin inuu kugu fakaro. And for the women, I will say for the women, you hold way more power than you are allowed to. So like use that, you know, just the fact that you're a woman is a threat in our society. So know your power and free yourself. Don't let these men tell you how to live your life.
Or anyone for that matter.
Or anyone, yeah, or anyone, yeah,
a lot
like
of people that
yeah.
No, absolutely.
Well said. Well said.
And thank you for making it, yo. We missed you.
Thank you. I missed you all
You know what I mean?
too. Hatta life is a little easy now. I was so busy with work and everything. I
no, I
was
know.
moving. So
No,
I missed you all. Every Sunday I think of everyone. I'm like, oh my God, my Sunday is boring.
You're always
But yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was nice talking to you all. Buho, Lelo, man, Dalmar, even though he's not here.
Did they get better though? Did they get better?
But that's the thing. Yeah, no.
She's in California, you know. She gets sunny days
Yeah.
every day.
But look, I wanted to also give and Duni Anuguna and Malak said Sami joined the Discord of this podcast. Absolutely. There are a lot of us that we can all talk to help each other. You will get through it, love. It takes time, but this fear is only temporary, and that is very true. وحان جعلنا لها انت محققة انت سامي وحياتي مسكين. I live in the West, but I'm underage. Yo, well, we're here. Your older brothers and sisters are here for you. So just know that you're not alone.
Time flies. Sorry, in a new Abai Sami, time flies. Like I still remember when I was 17, like it was yesterday. Be patient and just have a plan when you become of age and be patient until then. That will help you.
That's absolutely it. So anigu waxaan kusoo gabagabayn lahaa waaragti soo maha. Whenever there is meel saf loo taagan yahay, my spidey senses go off because I always feel like a cattle being led to, as a sheep. So madarag. Waxaan odhan lahaa anigu waa Maxamed Dawara soo dhigay. Truth fears no scrutiny. Therefore, it's always nice to challenge your beliefs so you don't put yourself in an echo chamber because you're not going to grow if you're in an echo chamber. Marka waxaan leeyahay anigu aragti Somali it's time tan soo baraarugno waa qarnigii 21aad baanu ku jirnaa. Time for us to actually start making these choices and actually not having this fear in us. We've got the only way we're going to do that is by helping each other out and by congregating around ideas. That's the only way. Think about it. We have some of the best lands this world has to offer. We have some of the most intelligent people this world has to offer. Yet and still, we're peppered throughout the world because we can't make things work in our own place. So it's time to sobararugno, and we gotta definitely look out for each other, and we gotta be able to have these conversations in a very sincere and safe way, so that we can so we can see the next chapters of our lives. But Buhal, thank you so much. Lilman, thank you. Howard, thank you. Lucky. Adi Adbo Masantin Sammy, thank you, and you're always welcome to come back. And until then, I want to say Somali Nimo, till we'll demo.
Good night.
Peace out.